What's up, nation? Let me give a second here for people to get in, and so I can mute the YouTube channel here and pull the chat up. How are y'all doing this evening, by the way? What's up? Give me just a second to skip the ads on my own channel here. All right, is everything 5x5, guys, on your end? I'm getting the all clear over here. I just want to be sure. Liz Rambo is up in the house, and I'm crashing windows over here. Melissa Dove, how are you doing, ma'am? Mr. Nobody, thank you for that. Mr. Nobody, who is a moderator, and I don't even know the name Mr. Nobody, so that's interesting. What's up? Lady Gaga's dogs are safe. Did y'all hear about that? The dogs are safe. Koji and Gustav. I had to go back and Google the names. Koji and Gustav. So thank the Lord for that. Thank the Lord. Now we can move on in the news cycle and go to something else, right? Huge giveaway news tonight. We're going to be doing a huge giveaway, and I'm because we're approaching 35,000 here at the nation. And somebody said, East Tennessee said, thank God. Thank you for that, Dusty Data. Thank you very much, sir. The guest tonight is OFC Nation, which is why I titled it The Nation is Growing. Two nations coming together to consummate, or whatever y'all want to call it here tonight. Really quickly, before I bring him over, I am going to do the unthinkable. I'm going to try and get Outlaw Prepper on FaceTime here. Timothy, donation to the Angry Prepper Spam Fund. Thank you very much for that. I will pass that along. Look, guys, I'm trying to figure out how to FaceTime the White Medea, which is, he lives with the White Medea. So we're trying here. I don't know. I'm going to try and get Outlaw on here, guys, to find out when. Yeah, Uncle Jack, Nan, that's right. Just to find out when we're going to be camping. What's up, Outlaw Prepper? Not much. Trying to get this phone to cooperate here, man. I'm live streaming right now, son. So people want to know when we're going camping again. When? When are we going camping again? When, son? Your schedule's open. Well, look here. I am married to your. Look, I'm married to your niece, Jack. I said I'm married to your niece. You got to run this by your niece. She's on the other side of the house watching Disney Channel. Yeah, call her real quick, man. Y'all work it out because you don't have to deal with her.
Yeah, I know. I will.
All right.
I will. I'll talk to her about it.
All right.
We got to go. I'm ready to go.
Set her straight, man. Set her straight.
I will, brother. I will.
All right, I'll let you go for now.
All right, John. Thanks, man. Hey, Dollar John. Say bye, John. Bye, John.
See you, buddy.
See you later, John.
See ya. Okay, so that was cool. I've never tried to do that on live stream before. All right, guys. So anyway, I'm probably gonna be sleeping on the couch again tonight, but it looks like we will be going camping soon. Let me just go ahead before I bring our guest on and apologize for everybody I rickrolled yesterday over on the YouTube page. Show of hands, who got rickrolled? Because I straight up got rickrolled. I was on my way home from taking my daughter to school, listening to the rock station. And they were like, well, we're going to keep the hits rolling. And they started playing that song. And so I'm like, yep, when I get home, I'm rickrolling the nation. So anyway, for the 5 people that are left here, thank you very much. Now we got a crowd in here, actually. Drinking coffee, Monster for later. Before I reveal what kind of coffee I am drinking, what's your favorite coffee? I got to know. I'm going to go ahead and bring OFC over. Everybody in the chat, please let me know what your favorite coffee is. That would be awesome. How you doing, brother? Can you hear me?
5x5, brother. How about me?
That is awesome. Everybody, this is OFC Nation. His link is right down below. Madam, I'm sorry that you were confused by the Rickroll, but that's kind of the entire point. Somebody clicks something, they think they're going to an actual article, and then they get Rick Astley, or however you say his name. Folgers. Somebody put Folgers in the chat. They on a budget too. Wide awake. Wide awake. That's what I'm drinking. What are you drinking over there, OFC?
Right now I've got Red Bull in one hand and the Life Straw water bottle in the other.
There you go. In case the Red Bull gets you down, man.
And just in case I get hungry for a snack.
Just in case you get hungry. Well, man, I got candy bars laying nearby. I don't have any Spam.
Oh man, we should. You know what? You have to hit AP up. He get you, send you some Spam or something.
Oh, he hates Spam. I mean, he hates it so bad. Everybody knows that, man.
Oh yeah, we usually do when we grow up being force fed something.
Yeah. Just a reminder for the folks in chat: if you are a blue coat on YouTube, or if you are we're calling them a war daddy now on Patreon. You folks have links over there where you can actually join us here on the show later on. But let's get started here, Rob, with OFC Nation, brother. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. And
I've got to start out with this because we were talking about this backstage. You were in the Army and the Navy.
Yes, sir. I spent 10 years, 4 years in the Army, the communications specialist. And then I decided I was going to cross over to the Navy because in the Army, a lot of people think, oh, you get to go everywhere. No, you don't. The Army, you go one place and you pretty much stay in that one place unless a war breaks out. Then you go to where the war's at and then you return back to that place. The Navy, it was like, bam, here, going over there. Travel. With the Navy, I circumnavigated the globe 7 times.
Really?
You know, I mean, I've lived in 17 different countries. Like we said, over in Southeast Asia, in Thailand. You want me to tell that story real quick?
Yeah, man, tell it. That was an awesome story back there.
Yeah, because a lot of people are completely unaware when it comes to in this country, us saying, well, they're tearing down statues, they're tearing down monuments, they're trying to rewrite history, and people are like, oh well, no one's going to forget. Well, like I said, I was my children's mother comes from a small village way up near the Laos-Cambodian border. Mm-hmm. And in her village, well, first, I didn't tell you this part. When I first arrived in the village, the children, the little ones, the 5, 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, they would hide behind their parents because they thought I was a ghost. They had never they never saw an actual white person before.
Well, you got to be less white. Coke has been over this, man.
I know. Yes, that's true. I need to take their seminar maybe. But the kids, would be like, P. They'd be asking, is he a ghost? And they'd be like, no, he's just a white man. He's a farang, a foreigner. But I saw this one kid walking around with a Nazi, like I told you before, a Nazi shirt on, and it wasn't the Hindu symbol, which is where that if you get into the origins of it and all that, it was a legit Nazi shirt. And I said, why is this kid? Why is he wearing that? And they were like, what are you talking about? I was like, and I explained, it was a Nazi item. They were like, who are the Nazis? And I said, well, there were soldiers in Germany in World War II. What's World War II?
That's insane.
And these are adults. These are people in their 30s and 40s that had no clue what World War II was, that the genocides ever happened. They were just clueless. They knew from their grandparents, from word of mouth, that at one point in time, the Japanese had been in their country, because, the bridge over the River Kwai, they had prison camps there for Americans and stuff. And they knew that the U.S. In Vietnam had a large air base in Northeast Thailand, but they did not have a clue about World War II even going on.
That's insane. You were telling me that right before we went live. And the first thing I thought was, that's going to be our country 50 years from now. If they don't start teaching real history, that's going to be us. We're going to have history that's rewritten,
Yeah, we're just erased, or it didn't happen,
And they're also
Uh,
going to wonder what a white person looks like, because in 50 years, you know what I mean, with all this nonsense going on. And I don't mean
yeah,
that in a racist way whatsoever, but it's almost like you're criminal right out, right out the gates.
yeah.
Um, I don't know if you're a believer or not, but the way I look at it is I was born this way. I can't help it. I'm like any other person of any other race. And now I feel like I have something to apologize for because of idiots 200 years ago that were white. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Now I'm on the hook for it somehow.
oh, I understand completely. In fact, a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, a brother from another mother, Justin. He's going to be watching this.
Okay.
Um, he's actually a member of OFC group because before I started, actually came up with the name OFC Nation. I got a group of veterans and some like-minded civilians from the area that I'm originally from, and kind of like a mag basically. And we called ourselves OFC Group because in the event there is chaos, we will bring order from it. Uh, and Justin is one of the guys who provides a safe house. For that reason, I'm not going to give his last name, but Justin is black. And when you see the two of us together, you would think, people are like, "Oh, that's an odd couple." He's black and got tattoos, and I'm white and tattooed up with bones in my beard. And it's like we just look like two people that would not be associating with each other. But his mother helped raise me as a child because we grew up in a community where parents raised other people. You treated the kid down the street like they were your kid. You whooped their ass if they did something stupid.
Yeah.
You'd feed them if they were hungry. And his mother fed me, took care of me. My mother fed him and took care of him. It's just the way it was. And race has nothing to do with it. My kids, are brown. Kind of like an olive drab color, with one of my favorite colors. But the funniest video I ever had, my little girl, she's 13 now. She got one of those Trump 2020 gold dollars. That's not real. And I said, "What do you got there?" And I just happened to be videoing her. I said, "What do you got there?" And she's like, "I got Trump money, Daddy." I said, "So
Trump
you like
money.
Trump?" Yeah. I said, "You like Trump?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "Why you like Trump so much?" She said, "Because Biden hates brown people." And I was like, "Okay."
Well, if Trump money was worth something, they're taking it out of circulation right now. I can promise you.
Oh, I'm telling you.
So quickly tell everybody what you've nicknamed your kids.
Oh, they are my baby sharks.
Baby sharks after the
That's
song,
what.
right?
Yeah, after the song, and the boys have a pretty nice appetite when you're feeding a 3, 4, and 6-year-old. They eat like little baby sharks. But no, when that song came out, I was like, "What are you talking, baby shark? What's this?" And so I had to YouTube it, and from there it just stuck. I mean, we'd be going down the road. I'd be in Dodge Ram pickup truck, kids all in the back, and just jamming Baby Shark down out the speakers, just going down the road. But yeah, that's why after all my videos, I always say goodnight to my baby sharks. In fact, like I said, I shot that video on kids bug out bags. I'll be dropping that tomorrow morning. But
Yeah, with my kids, it was "Let It Go" from Frozen. It's just one of those you want to let it go.
Yeah, my daughter, she was the Let It Go generation, and she decided finally to let it go when we would be in Walmart, and I would scoop her up and start dancing in circles with her little feet dangling. I'd be going, "Let it go, let it go."
Oh man,
Yeah. She'd be like, "You're embarrassing me, Daddy," and but that's what I
you're
do. That's
embarrassing
my
me. Yeah.
job. Yeah.
So just take a couple of minutes, man, if you don't mind. There are a lot of people in here. We got 400 people right now. Just explain a little bit about what your channel is about, how things work over there.
All
Because
right.
again, the link's below.
All right. Well, originally the channel came out back when the cough, before the cough started to get here, because I had friends, I still have friends that are all over the world in the military, and I had received some calls saying, "Hey, this thing in China, there's this thing going on in China, and it's probably going to hit the U.S." Now, this was back early January. I was making phone calls to certain select friends up here saying, "You need to start getting 90 days worth of food, water, stuff like that, because if the numbers are real, if what we're hearing, what I'm hearing out of China is real, then you need to get ready for this, because if it hits sun, it's going to be like you know, the 1918, 1919 pandemic all over again.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But that was based off of the original numbers. A lot of people don't realize that, and I'm not going to reveal anything, but certain satellite footage shows that in September, Chinese hospitals in Wuhan the parking lots were beyond capacity. Whereas years prior, 2018 and 17, there was half of the traffic at those hospitals. So something was happening at the end of August, beginning of September. So, and now you keep hearing, well, it seems to get pushed back every couple months. They say, oh, well, now they're saying it possibly could have gotten out in you know, November. Well, before you were saying it was December. Now I'm telling you, it was in late August, early September. And that's what I told my friends. I said, so by the time you know, 2 months went by, it was already here. But the numbers, because you can't really count on anything coming out of China as far as legitimate numbers, because
no, you can't.
Just
anything coming out of there.
And it's not, you know, a lot of people want to blame it on communism, which I do agree that the Communist Party has a lot of control over their media. But from the fact, you know, that my children are Asian, what I've learned from living in Southeast Asia is there's a big thing, like even with the Japanese and any Asian culture, they like to save face. They don't like to be embarrassed. It's a big thing at a cultural level. So I think a big part of that is the reason why we didn't hear the real numbers coming out of there. And so I started, you know, making sure people were getting ready and weren't, you know, when the Surgeon General and then we're on saying, oh, you don't need masks. Masks won't protect you. I was like, well, I know an N95 mask will filter out 95% of viral particles. I know that a P100, like I own and use for work, will filter out 99.9% of viral particles. Now, last I checked, if I'm keeping viral particles out, that's a good thing. So masks absolutely would help. And then they come out with masks won't help. Well, that was because, you know, well, if everybody ran out and got one, well, son, then somebody's going to be left without a chair, you know, in the game of musical chairs. So they were playing that game. I was like, no. I was like, you know what? They tell you don't need one. I said, said right on my channel, go out and buy every 3M mask you can find, because based off of the current numbers, we're going to need it. Well, as the numbers started coming out, we started seeing the mortality rate drop. You can see on my videos, I start changing. I was like, well, maybe this thing's not as bad as they're saying it was. And then they come out with, well, okay, now we're going to wear these surgical masks. I'm like, well, that's not rated for nothing. Why are you wearing that? Because if a surgical mask or a bandana or anything would help, one, they would have issued it to me in the Army and the Navy instead of issuing me a gas mask.
Right.
And two, if it worked, all those rioters, whether it be in Portland or Minneapolis or in DC at the thing on the 6th, they wouldn't have to worry about tear gas now, would they, if that shit worked? But when they shoot that tear gas, oh, they coughing and hacking. Well, clearly that mask, that shit don't work. But no, I started getting into you know, realizing people were interested in not only that, but in preparing for different things, different events that could happen, grid down, polar vortexes, all kinds of shit, stuff. Sorry. And,
oh no, you're fine, man. Be yourself over here. Be yourself.
And well, yeah, you know, and I'm trying to start to tone it down because, you know, I like I said, I originally wanted to make this bug out bag for kids video so that kids could watch it too, but I know just to market not for kids because.
Well, see, there you go, guys. That in itself is a reason to follow this man's channel. He's getting ready to do a video on kids bug out bags. A lot of you have asked me to do one of those, so he's going to do that for you. Dusty Data, thank you, sir, very much. He says gas mask fund. Yeah, gas mask fund. And you know, I have, you know, military gas masks that I, you know, not only the ones that were issued to me that I forgot to turn back in, but I have ones that I bought for my kid's mom and for my kids when they were little. And you know, I've never really seen anybody do a video on this, but making basically a clean room, a bubble room
which you can make if you have the right, filtration system and plastic wrap and PVC piping, something that you can wrap around, build up. You can sit a kid in a newborn in a bassinet inside, and you essentially create a clean room, because a kid, you're not going to get a toddler to wear a mask, but you can put them inside of a plastic shelter that has filtered air in and out, and you can make those at home because I've got everything to make those. But, but that's
thank
because,
you for that, Jason, by the way. For me, man, I was just like you. I got a little worried when it first kicked off, man, because it was coming out of, I think I started hearing about it first from Britain, and they're like, this is really bad. And then they would show the Wuhan stuff up till about the point that I forget one of the ship's names. The other one was the Mercy, I think.
The Mercy and the Comfort.
When they brought the Mercy and the Comfort in, I'm like, okay, this might get bad. And then they didn't use them. And I'm like, well, something's up here. Thank you, Warrior. Cheryl Ann, thank you for the super chat, man.
The USS Comfort and the USS Mercy are the two main hospital ships for the U.S. fleet.
Yeah, that's about the point where I realized, okay, the numbers that are going up are people that actually have it, but like you said, the mortality rate's going down, so most people must be recovering.
Yeah, and if you look at it, we're also talking about most of the people that get it don't know they have it, and so they never get tested. So how many in the population have had? The funny thing that struck me when they came out with the shot, they said the shot is 99.7% safe for people that take it. I'm like, son, the virus is 99.8% safe. So the
you're
virus
safe, just not doing anything.
Shot. Yeah, the
and
virus
it's cheaper.
is safer than a shot. Yeah, there you go. It's free, And guess what? I'll build up antibodies. I got white blood cells. The good Lord gave me white blood cells. I can fight it on my own.
Yeah, and not only you can take the shot and then still get it. From what I understand.
Exactly. And I have underlying conditions. I had both my lungs collapsed while I was in the military, and so I have scar tissue all throughout here, and I even get a little tiny government check for my problems, for my troubles. But I've got underlying conditions, and I'm not taking it. No, sir.
Well, just really quickly, man, thank you for your service. And also, I know there's a lot of veterans in the chat. Thank you guys for your service. I know it's not Veterans Day, but thank you anyway.
You're welcome, and thank you.
So I need to ask you, because I watched several of your videos this morning. Tell us, and Bear didn't pay you to say anything about it, the IFAC that you got from Bear Independent. Can you give us an assessment? What was in that thing? Because it looked pretty bossing, man.
Oh yeah, it was. And like I said, when I saw him, because of course I watched the show, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is the Bear IFAC," and he's just holding it with one hand, like and I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "It's not very big. It's only the size of my hand." And when I got it, I'm like, "This thing's the size of my head. So how big are his damn hands?" That's when I realized, they call him Bear for a reason. So I can only imagine, he's a beast. But this thing is, it's great. I wish I would have had it up here. I didn't even think that you'd be asking about it, but because it's literally right in my vehicle, and it's never too far from where I am, and but it's got 2 hyphen chest seals, because again, if you get a hole in your chest, you're probably going to have a hole in the back. If you get a gunshot wound, it's going to go straight through, or if you get impaled on anything. But you don't want to have a sucking chest wound where every time you breathe, air gets sucked into the cavity, and then it starts building up pressure. So you've got to seal that up, seal the leak where the air's getting in.
I know you were mentioning things, just common stuff, common around here too, like chainsaws and stuff. Anybody can run into that.
I literally met a kid at the Domino's that, he had a pirate patch on. I'm like, what happened? He's like, "Oh, I only got one eye." He lifted it up. It's just a hole. I'm like, "Well, what happened?" He's like, "Oh, I was running through the woods and a branch went through my eye." I'm like, shit happens, you kids. Hell, I'm not going to elaborate, but when I was a kid, I cut my toe off with a hamster cage. Kids
With a hamster cage.
Yes, I'll tell you about this some other time. But yeah. Anyway, kids do weird shit. They don't pay attention to their surroundings. And like I said, I've got four baby sharks, and we frequently go out on trails. And sometimes there are drop offs, cliffs, and there's broken, felled trees down over the side, old trees, sharp objects. And if one of them slips, falls, and ends up with something going through them, I need to be able to react to that situation. It's not just for I'm headed to a combat zone, which trust me, the bare fact I would love to have. I think every U.S. soldier sailor, marine, airman should have one of those issued to them that the government should pay for.
Yeah, because you were showing off in one of the videos the one you actually got from the Army, and it was ridiculous. Like tiny compared to bears.
It was just a compression bandage. That was here's your IFAC. Individual first aid was one compression bandage that you would wrap on and tighten it down. It was ridiculous. But bears is like dude, it's like it's like a med pack. It's got, the hell's it called? Decompression needle to get that air back out of your lungs, which I've had done, and like I said, it really hurts, but only for a split second, but it's better than dying. I have the SWAT T tourniquet upgrades, which is it's a giant rubber band about yay thick, about yay wide, probably about 14 inches long, that you can wrap around and use on children's, because children typically have smaller limbs, than adults, that you use as a tourniquet for kids. So I was like, yeah, I definitely need, some SWAT Ts, because God forbid, I pray that I never have to use any of this stuff, but I don't want to be sitting there at my kid's funeral going, if I only had that. Well, now I've got that, and yeah, I spent, an extra $12 for this tourniquet for kids, but $12 beats having a gone kid.
It's preparedness, just like anything else,
exactly.
That we're preparing for.
And that's the thing. Like I said, being in the military, I spent, and that's why I say, back that up one second. I always tell people, don't allow these doctors like Fauci and everything to dictate what we do in this country. Because if you ask someone whose whole life is about viruses and diseases, they're going to give you the extreme response. If you ask a soldier, a lifelong soldier like me, well, what should we do about this? It's all war, war, war. Because I'm a dog of war. I am trained. I've trained for 20 plus years to have a warrior mindset. And so I'm going to see it as, this is our options. Bam, bam, bam. We need to hit them hard, hit them fast. We fight 3-1. That's the Army doctrine. I'm going to be focused on work. We need to find someplace in the middle, But yeah, so preparedness.
You brought up Fauci. This is a really good thing that we do here at the Nation now. Folks in the chat, there are already people doing it. If you would like to slap Fauci right dead in his mouth, give us a thumbs up, please. Take 2 seconds. Take your aggression out on that thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever.
I just like to poke him in the eye, just like,
yeah,
boink, boink.
Just as long as you make it count, right?
Yeah.
So you got the bug out bags for your kids behind you. I need to ask like grown-up bug out bags, and I'm going to go ahead and ask the folks in the chat as well. What are some of your favorite bug out bag items?
Well, I also did a video on that, bug out bag basics. And someone asked me to put a PDF list together.
That's a good idea, actually.
Well, what I'm going to do in the bug out bags for kids, down in the description, I'm going to put a basic list of everything that was in the adult bag, plus the list of what I've got in this kid's bag. That way people can just screenshot it, print it out, whatever they want to do. But baby wipes. I didn't show that I literally pulled them out of my bag when I was showing my bag for my video. And I just set them to the side. I didn't even think about it, because any soldier, sailor, marine worth their salt that's been in the field, baby wipes, because not only are they good for cleaning up what you think they're for, but for cleaning your feet and taking care of any places that chafe, your groin area, your armpits. Basic hygiene. Baby wipes are a must. We, as soldiers and sailors, we wanted those things. We asked people here to ship baby wipes to us overseas. Baby wipes. Keep a pack of baby wipes in there. Other than that, anything, you got to cover your bases: fire, water, shelter, food.
Somebody just put 12 gauge in the chat.
Well, a 12 gauge is nice. Yes, you must have, I highly recommend, you don't must have, but I highly recommend a Freedom Seed dispenser. Yes, because I found that over time and in many locations that if you plant Freedom seeds into fertile, bad, evil soil, freedom will grow from the hole.
Duct tape. Yeah. Super quick. I have a bunch of duct tape. I always have at least one roll of duct tape in my bag. Because I've had cheaper tents and stuff start leaking, get holes, stuff like that.
And I keep the duct tape in there, but I also keep it in the first aid section because my bug out bag is broken down into sections. The outer, and just like this kid's one is, the outermost is typically the first aid. It's the easiest to get to. It's right there, so I can readily access it. And then the pouches surrounding on the outside are things that are frequently used and needed quickly. Compasses, matches, forms of lighter, anything like that. Anything on the inside of the pack is typically things that are for the rest area, the camping area, wherever I'm going to lay up for the night, because I don't want to be digging through a damn pack trying to find, duct tape or
especially if it's dark, right?
Yes. A flashlight, keep it on the outside of the bag, just like in this kid's one, got a small flashlight right on top, boom, they can grab it. But again, my first aid kit for my pack, I got general first aid, several different kinds of bandages, neosporin, duct tape because it sticks to mud, blood, sweat, and tears. Blood, sweat, and tears, what duct tape sticks to, and everything else you can think of. Super glue because stitches, unless you're going to sew yourself shut, super glue is the next best alternative. I literally reattached this ear with super glue.
With super glue?
Oh yeah, it's got all kinds of scarring here. My old Facebook page has the photo from when that incident happened, and that wasn't like
not a hamster cage.
No, that was actually something very common. My motor. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was driving down the through West Virginia. My buckle on my motorcycle helmet broke. The helmet came off in the wind when I was doing 70 miles an hour. It hooked my earring and ripped it right out of my head, and ripped the whole ear open along with it. So just something that common, I got on my Harley, wham! I cracked the throttle, hit the highway.
You didn't lay the Harley down or anything when this happened?
Oh no! I mean, I just reached up and said, I was like, son of a bitch, and I grabbed my head, and I was like, and I knew what happened. Soon as I came back with a handful of blood, I knew what happened. So
Time to pull over.
I just pulled over. I wrapped the bandana on it to hold it all in place. I looked at it in the mirror. I wrapped the bandana around it to hold it in place, and then I motored on down to South Carolina and ended up gluing it shut down South Carolina.
Timothy, thank you for the super chat. He says, OFC, I shall now refer to you as Master Splinter.
Oh yeah, because of the bones, the snake bones.
So man, I am upgrading from a flip phone because my wife is making me to an iPhone 12. She's like, it's time. You know what I mean? And so I thought I would ask you tonight. I even wrote this down. What do I need to know about I know Big Brother tracks. What do I need to do with this iPhone 12 to make sure I'm not tracked? I know they have the pouches and everything I can drop it in, but honestly, do you know of any settings and things I need to?
No, you sit it down. If you're going someplace you don't want it to know you're going, sit it down. Even your vehicle, if you have any vehicle that has OnStar in it, whether you've subscribed to it or not, they know where that vehicle has been, period, point blank. That's it. They know. The only way is to, one, have no technology on you, i.e. cell phone, smartphone, smart watch that people forget they have sometimes, and a vehicle that does not have satellite radio or OnStar, or either one, can't have either one of those. So your vehicle has to have none of those systems. Low jack system, make sure it doesn't have a low jack system, and that's the only way you're going to travel without people knowing exactly where you're at all the time.
That's crazy. The more I think about this whole Big Brother thing,
Oh yeah, the eyes in the sky see everything. And people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, it's not. I'm not just talking about satellites. How many cameras you pass? I know just in a 20-mile route on the highway here on I-70, there are 7 cameras at different intersections on the highway that are looking at different points on the highway, traveling east and west, and some exits coming on and off of that highway. There are 7 cameras within 20 miles.
I'm not
That's just on one
familiar
highway.
with that highway. I have been on I think it's I-77
Yeah, it's just the
somewhere
same
around
thing.
roundabouts. Yeah.
I-77 from West Virginia is considered a smart corridor. A lot of people don't realize that. Not only do they have camera systems on the highway at certain intervals, but there are sensors in the road. It travels from the West Virginia border down through Morgantown, down through Charleston. They can tell you if there's traffic traveling north and southbound on the roads just from the sensors in the roads. It's pretty cool technology. I only learned about that a few years ago because I was listening to some local. They were trying to get funding for some other shit, and I listened to that, and I was like, what? I was like, what is this they're talking about? So I started looking into it, and I was like, son of a gun! They don't even have to see you, and they know you're on that highway.
It's I don't know, man. It's kind of scary and it's kind of sad at the same time because we're sitting here joking about it, but it's sad to a degree because most people know that we live in this police state now, this constant state of policing, and they've just accepted it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
They complain about it, but they've accepted it. Thank you very much, Liz Rambo. Let's see here. Get a great case for iPhone 12. Body glove, waterproof. Sound like I'm gonna need a Faraday cage, Liz. Get a 50 cal ammo can out here and make a Faraday cage for it.
Yeah, now you can put stuff in a Faraday cage to block signals, and like I said, but if you're going through that hassle, you might, I like a Faraday cage for one purpose, and that is to secure something in the event of an EMP, something that I want to use later. Other than that, if I need to go somewhere that I don't want somebody listening, I just don't take the phone.
That is actually on my list. It's a couple ahead, so we'll skip up here. The Texas grid went down with the storms and everything. I was going to ask you to maybe explain to the chat what the long-term effects of an EMP would be.
Oh, you want to talk about that right now?
Well, I mean, since you brought it up, it's
okay.
It's a couple down.
It would depend on the size of the device. In theory, the military has brainstormed this over and over and had all kinds of tabletop exercises on it. But in theory, 2 nuclear weapons could detonated at a high altitude, 250 miles above the Earth's surface, would be enough to wipe out the entire continental United States from coast to coast. Now, it wouldn't have to be like, oh, well, they launched them over here at us. No. You could have a Chinese or Russian or whoever, not going to put blame on any country in case it does happen, but you could have somebody if they had the resources, pull 20 miles, 30 miles off our East Coast, 20, 30 miles off our West Coast, and launch straight up. And if they launch straight up and they detonate on the West Coast and on the East Coast, the resulting EMP would cover the whole North American continent. Well, at least the United States part. And we would be knocked into the Stone Ages, into the Dark Ages, because most of our infrastructure comes from overseas. It's built over there. We don't build a lot of the things now. So you figure if it's going to take 6 months to get one shipped here on a regular day, what happens when the power goes down? First, how are we going to order it? First off, if they are the ones who did it, why would they send it to us anyway?
Yeah.
And the thing is the government, many people say, 80 to 90% of the U.S. population would be killed off in 9 months to a year. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't see how that could happen. You forgot to silence your phone.
That's the flip phone's all the way up there. I don't know who'd be texting right now. Maybe Graham. He's probably trolling me.
That's probably who it is. It's Graham.
He owes me.
And but if it happened in winter, and that's what I always worry about as far as EMP. If they hit us in like last week, January, February, when it's freezing, you're gonna have a lot of people that freeze to death. You're going to have a lot of people that die of starvation. You're going to have a lot because once you can't use electric anymore, you can't get fuel out of the ground or out of, let me rephrase that, because you can't get fuel out of the ground. You can't get fuel out of fuel pumps at gas stations from subterranean tanks. So you can't use gas stations anymore. You can't, planes will be grounded, buses won't move, trucks won't move, because of that, no goods or services will be provided to anyone for anything. Now the military would still be operational for a while because they still have all kinds of resources for continuity of government, but they are going to worry about continuity of government. Continuity of government is not continuity of your town, of my town. Continuity of government is to ensure the survival of the U.S. government, not the people. Even though, yes, we could get into the argument, it's a government of the people, by the people. No, it's for them to make sure that they are okay. And that's just the way it is. But yeah, you would start seeing, if, EMP, you're going to have a total breakdown of society. Who's going to show up for work when you can't work? You can't use electricity for work. What business is going to be open? None. Yeah, you're not going to have a way to sell things, to buy things. Who owns all the stuff at Walmart right now? The Walmart family. They're down in Arkansas, and they're not going to know what's going on at the local Walmart down the road here. You got all these people that want stuff. Who's going to stop them from taking stuff?
Talking about old school
chaos. Oh yeah, it'd be mass chaos and pandemonium. But eventually, just like in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in you name a country that has, look at
keep going, man. I'm gonna go check and make sure this isn't Graham blowing the phone up. Just keep going. Okay.
I'll tell them about it. But if you guys look at any country where civility has, the social structure has broken down due to whatever the reason, there is a power vacuum, and someone always fills that vacuum. Problem we had in Iraq was that Al Qaeda was providing basic services to large portions of the population. There, the U.S., we came in, we knocked out, infrastructure with, Operation Shock and Awe. There was, we knocked out power, gas, sewers, shit like that. And Al Qaeda they had garbage men going out picking up people's trash. They were providing people with food. They were providing people with shelter. And guess what? People backed them for doing that. That's what you would see here very shortly after a long-term grid down scenario. You would see power vacuums, and you would see people filling those vacuums. Now, hopefully, they're good people. Here, and that's what we prepare for here at OFC Nation, because though I'm on YouTube and you see my face, there's a whole group that I meet with on a regular basis. And we have, thought these scenarios out. We know that geographically we are in a good place because, one, we have the mountains, gives us geographical isolation. Two, there's no nuclear plants immediately west of us to blow any fallout on us, so we're good. The one nuclear plant we do have is north of us, and it would contaminate the river system. But as far as the rest of the creeks, streams that lead to the rivers, we'd still have plenty of fresh water. We also know that we are in a oil and natural gas rich location. And even without power, that liquid condensate, now here's the secret to the power of the OFC Nation, that liquid condensate, if you know how to get it out of the ground, because it's going to come out of the ground, it's a matter of opening the right valves and getting it to go into the right tanks. If you know how to do that, you can keep armored military vehicles rolling by using it with a proper mixture of a few other things that will turn into a somewhat homemade diesel fuel. All right. So when the power goes out, OFC Nation has access to military vehicles, and we have a control of the fuel supply. With that, we can also keep our coal miners around here working by keeping their machines running to extract coal, which will provide some form of heat for people around here in the wintertime. Because it might be crude, it might be old school, but it'll work, and we'll keep people alive.
I think Biden's going to get your coal miners long before an EMP does, man.
Oh, well, they can, but the mines will still be there. And if we ever need them, we got plenty of knowledge in these hills to get it out.
Thank you, Gary Bulldog Prepper. And also, Jason says, if you are being tracked or hunted, turn on all tracking apps, capture a bear, tie the iPhone to the bear collar, set up cameras, and grab popcorn. I'm good, man. If you want to do that and live
now,
stream,
is he talking about bear independent, or is he talking about bear? Like which bear? Because either one is being bad. I can see a bunch of people coming after bear. I mean, might actually take the heat off you for a while.
So let's see what I got on here next. You had talked about avoiding kill or capture, and that's something that people really need to know how to do right now.
Oh, yeah.
And staying off the X. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and that's what I was just getting ready to say. Staying off the X. I vaguely recall that video because I do. So sometimes I just talk just for the sake of talking. But no, we always call it getting off the X, because when somebody is coming for you, they already have a plan. They want to get you at this place, at this location. I mean, you just watch any of these movies like Cops or whatever, where they do these pre-dawn raids. You'll see them all talking right in front. And that's, if you want to learn, watch that stuff. They'll get together and they'll say, all right, our suspect or our target is at this location. From this location, we're going to move, how we're going to get there, we're going to move down this street and that street to get to that location. And then we're going to set up our little perimeter, and then we're going to assault that location. Well, that location is the X. And it doesn't only work like that for cops. Imagine those are bad guys. Imagine those are marauders that are having that conversation, and it was a whole new spin. They're not taking you to jail, son. They're coming to take you out and take all your stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine it's just, maybe it is the police. Maybe somehow you said that, too many things that the government doesn't like, that Bezos doesn't like, that, Gil Bates doesn't like, and you find yourself as a domestic extremist or some shit on some list, and now they are talking about you, just because, if they decide, to crack down. I mean, we've seen it in other countries. I mean, hell, in this country, we rounded up, our own citizens before, so it can happen. But getting off the X, you want to make sure that when you, see, I get sidetracked when you're.
I do that too, man.
If you find yourself on the X is where somebody starts to engage you, because typically if somebody's coming for you, they already know where you're going to be. Once they start their assault, you are now on the X. The further you can get from the X, the better your chances of survival or escape are, because their plan is on that X. It's all centered right here. The more you move away from right here, the more they have to adapt on the fly to what you're doing. And they have to get their resources to adapt and to counteract what you are doing. So the faster you can move away from that X, whether it be an ambush situation or a home invasion. If you're not of the mindset, if somebody comes in my house, I'm dropping them, then you better be of the mindset, if somebody comes in my house, I'm getting the hell out. There's one or the other. If you just stay there, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. But if you are of the mindset, I'm getting the hell out, that's getting off the X. Those people are coming. They might not necessarily be coming for you, but they're coming for your stuff. And if you are there, you're going to be in danger. Get off the X. How are you going to do that? You want to seek cover. You want to take a path that is of least resistance to get the hell away. The more distance you can put, the better. We always said, if someone is chasing you in a follow-on car, if a car is chasing you, you need to make multiple turns before they can make turns. So if you make a left, a right, and a left, and they only make a left, they don't know which way you went. By the time they make a right, they might have seen you make that right, but once they make that right, they don't know that you made a left or a right. So if you can make 3 turns before they finish their first turn, you're that much closer to getting the hell away. And just keep doing it, keep moving out. Same thing on foot. You can do the same thing on foot. Put obstacles, put things between you and your pursuer. whether it be going over something, around something, through something, under something. Get as far hell away from the X as possible.
I'm going to go ahead and ask you, man, because different preppers will give you different answers to this. I just want to see what your opinion is. Do you think it's possible to be a lone wolf and bug out and get away from the X and survive long term?
It's possible. Can everybody do it? No, because it would require a certain mindset. Now, the reason I say it is possible is because if you just look at history, we have a history in this country of a long time ago, these people called fur traders and frontiersmen, where one guy would go out with just a crap on his back and he lived for years and years and years in no man's land and would come back and do some fur trading and go back out. So it is possible to do that. Now, did those guys have a very long life expectancy? No. And the same thing here. I mean, it's true. I mean, they'd be killed by bears. They'd be killed by wolf packs. Hell, they'd be killed by tribes that didn't like them.
A lot of them were ex-soldiers, and they just didn't have a war to fight anymore. You know what I mean? So they would just go out there and fur trade.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean on that one. This is kind of my war to fight now. And but and I tell people, I say, I think I even said it in a couple of videos. Packs survive. Wolf packs survive. A lone wolf gets eaten by a bear. That's just the way it is. He's going to get hurt. Who's going to help? He's going to get attacked. Who's going to help fight? You can in theory survive as a lone wolf, but it's not the most prudent, not the most practical way, because we all have different strengths and different weaknesses. Tactically, I got it. Strategies, got it. Growing a garden, I could figure it out. I mean, I got a couple of farmers' almanacs. It's not my strong suit. I don't grow things, but I know people who do. See? So I incorporate.
I agree with you. I think it can be done, but you're going to need a skill set. You're going to need to be in extremely good physical shape, and also have the mental capacity. Like SHTF would be extremely hard on people mentally. You know what I mean? And there's people that just couldn't do it mentally. Then you need some luck.
Yeah,
you need a lot of luck.
Now, like my pack, my personal bug out bag, now if I had no baby sharks and I had, or I didn't have to worry about them or anything, if it was just me solo, I could take my pack and I could go into wherever the wilderness for, I would say I'd feel comfortable for months. Now, however, I would have to rely, I know my diet would have to change. I would be primarily eating mostly proteins. I'd have to learn to other than I know what some wild onions and some mushrooms in our area, but my vegetable intake would go way down. I'd prefer to be further south where I could find natural fruits, to supplement my diet. But as far as actually living, oh yeah, I could survive for months out of my good bag, my get out of Dodge bag, if I had to.
They're debating right now in the chat. Somebody said a lone wolf has to sleep at some point, and other people are saying, why can't you sleep as a lone wolf? You can.
Yes,
but you need to know how to be extremely well hidden and be.
And I've packed through the Everglades before, and by myself, and I slept. I'd put my hammock up above the ground, like up way above the ground, in some big tree branches, that just because I didn't want something crawling up and snatching me in the middle of the night. But yeah, you can sleep by yourself, but it's always better to have somebody there to watch your back, or at least to help assist if you hear something in the middle of the night and wake up. But yeah, lone wolf is very capable. It's very possible, but it's not. I wouldn't recommend it.
No. I mean, at some point, if a lone wolf survives long enough, like you were saying, they're either going to run into marauders and they're going to be in some serious trouble, or they're going to run into a group and the group's going to see that they know what they're doing and you know, maybe at that point you become part of the pack, like you were talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, marauding, the thing is, a lot of people are, oh, well, marauders at some point, unless your actual town, your group is 100% self-sufficient in everything, at some point, we're all going to stray in and out of that marauder scale, prepper. It's a sliding scale. It's, now there are going to be people that are just straight hardcore, bad criminal marauders.
We saw that in Chaz. We saw that in Chaz. They started warlording, is what I would call it.
Yeah.
Strongman rises, and that's it.
And like I was saying when you were gone for a second, that in an EMP, if the power went down, just like with the OFC Nation, the OFC group, we know that at first people are going to look like, what the hell is going on here? Because because when there's a power vacuum, someone has to fill it, and 99% of the time, it's those with the guns make the rules. The only thing you can hope for is that they are good people with guns and not bad people with guns.
Yeah.
But we plan on, if it ever, God forbid, comes down to that we're going to use the Constitution and the Bill of Rights as our guide.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually our next topic. I was going to ask you something on that, but go ahead. The Bill of Rights specifically.
But I told people in one video, if they ever had to make contact with the OFC Nation, that there's a video on that shit tells how and when, or where rather, that if a group approaches you at the rendezvous and asks you to disarm, shoot them, because they ain't us.
Yeah.
We ain't going to ask you to disarm. You have a right to keep and bear arms. So if somebody is telling you that they're us, and they're telling you, hey, can you put your weapons down or unload your weapons? Son, they ain't us. They're getting ready to ambush you.
See, I love this, man, because we're not that far away, North Carolina, West Virginia. You get the fact that people call each other son.
Oh yeah, I travel through your area all the time. In fact, that one little rest area, it's a truck stop right there. It even has a thing inside that says the home of Andy Griffith.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, Mount Airy, right there. Yeah.
The highway splits.
Yeah.
The highway portion.
There's like a set of train tracks or something right there.
Yeah.
The town is split basically. Half of it's commercialized. You got like your Applebee's and your Golden Corrals and your Walmart, and then the other half is the old school, Andy Griffith side, I would say.
Yeah,
but
I've only cut through there. I've never actually stopped. I'm gonna stop sometime and look. Probably my next time, and the next month I'll be heading through there.
Yeah, you can go through the museum, man. I don't know if Andy Griffith's your jam or not, but you can go through the museum. It's there on the older side of town.
Okay.
And they have the entire set, like the desk and everything. It's behind plexiglass, a lot of it, but you can go in there and see it. It's pretty cool, man. But I wanted to ask you, since you brought up the Bill of Rights, I had this written down anyway to ask. Maybe you can explain the difference to me, because I can't seem to figure it out. I understand what the Bill of Rights is. I understand that we are guaranteed not by the government. It's not the government giving us permission, the first 10 rights. But what is the difference between that and now they are kicking the idea of the universal basic income, where you get income for existing, basically? This is a right that you get, and yet they're trying to take away the first 10 that we have.
I mean, it's kind of like, and here's the thing, I agree with you. Okay. It's like people saying, well, communism, socialism leads to communism, and communism, always comes from socialism. I'm like, if you actually look, there ain't a lot of difference between either one.
No, there's not.
It's the same damn thing with a different spelling.
Yeah.
And I don't see the difference in it. You want what somebody else has. You don't want to work for it. You don't want to earn it, but you feel like you're owed it. That is insanity to me. It just blows my mind. I just can never wrap my head about it. Same with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Here's one thing I keep asking people. I say, how is it we allow people to even be in public office who violate the Constitution? You know, nobody seems to have an
Yeah.
answer for that.
It's a good question.
My thing is, okay, let's look at current Biden. If on the 6th, if he raised his hand on the 20th and put his hand on the Bible and says, "I swear to uphold the Constitution and protect and defend the Constitution of the United States," the moment he says, "I'm going to do anything pertaining to the Second Amendment," he's violated his oath, needs to be held out of office.
Yeah.
It's not shall be infringed, shall not be infringed except for this or except for that. No, right there, if you attack the Constitution, you're out. That's it. If you are admitted socialist, like, I'm sorry, Bernie, if you're an admitted socialist, you have no place in the United States government, because socialism goes directly against the Constitution of the United States government.
I totally agree with you. We have people right now on Capitol Hill that are talking about how evil America is and the American system and their lawmakers.
And this is why I'm sure I'm on a list. Those people right there are, I swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Those people are domestic enemies, domestic terrorists against the Constitution.
I totally agree.
Deserve a short. Never mind.
I understand what you're saying without you actually saying it. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Because this kind of gets under my skin. This was going on here in North Carolina for a while. You couldn't, in certain areas, you couldn't walk down the street without being forced to wear a mask or pay a fine. And to me, that's not freedom. Well, I mean, they will. That's the whole thing. They'll arrest you, or they'll fine you.
Well, see, and that's the thing. A lot of people, and that's why I guarantee I'm on some lists, especially because I used to have TSCI clearance, so I know I'm definitely on a list. They've been watching me since they gave me that security clearance, and now they're really watching me.
Yeah.
But and I don't care, because like I said, I have been taught in my whole life, my whole military life, if the bad guy attacks you, you hit him hard, you hit him fast with swiftness of violence. And I have no problem. I do not wish to be violent. But if I am forced into that scenario, I will use any and all means necessary to protect myself and defend myself against illegal violence being forced upon me. Just because someone says it's legal to do something to me doesn't make it lawful and doesn't make it right. And I will defend myself with swiftness of violence.
I totally agree. Sometimes when, like, I order history books like across the board, especially when it comes to World War II. So I will be on Amazon and I'll order like Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, and then I'll order the Communist Manifesto. You know what I mean? And I'll go through.
They're not watching you. They're like, he's one of us.
Well, no, what'll happen is I'll go through and I'll get Churchill's books, and then I will actually type in the search bar, "No, I am not a terrorist," or something like this, just in case somebody's watching. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I tell you, if anyone wants to get on a list, I'll tell you how to get on a list real fast. And but it's knowledgeable. It is so the knowledge that they put out was ridiculous and scary, because they put out scary information, and it came from a group called Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda actually had their own propaganda arm, and they put out a magazine called Inspire Magazine. And inside that magazine, it went out globally over the web. Inside that magazine, it tells you all kinds of tactics, techniques, procedures for all kinds of shit. But it's crazy stuff. But if you Google that magazine, and trust me, they're going to start looking. And if you try to download anything of those magazines, you are definitely being on a list.
Yeah. You were asking the difference between socialism and communism. Yeah. And I'm convinced that the only difference is under socialism, a majority of the people still believe the lie. Under communism, they have quit believing it and they're at gunpoint doing it. To me, that's the only difference, Yeah,
it's true. It's true. I mean, same result at the end. People die in large numbers. I mean, government is the number one killer of people. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Uh, whether it be through wars, which are low, but the primary way is starvation. The governments have starved populations to death for the hundreds of
It's
forever.
cheaper to do it that way,
Oh
unfortunately.
yeah, oh yeah.
When the Germans were getting ready to take, I think it was either Stalingrad or Leningrad during World War II. They didn't want to use the resources, so they just cut the city off and let the people starve out.
Yeah.
They still didn't take the city, but they were close to taking it.
Oh yeah.
Folks in the chat, if you don't mind, please hit a quick thumbs up. If you like smack Fauci in the face, hit that thumbs up, please. And also, OFC Nation, his link is right down below. So I got to get your thoughts, man, on the airstrikes that just took place in Syria.
You know, other than hearing that it happened, I haven't been following it at all because we always bomb somebody. You just don't hear about it. I mean, all the time. It happens quite frequently. Just because people in the U.S. don't hear about it doesn't mean it's not happening. This one just happened to make the news because they're probably trying to get us to look away from something else that we should be looking at.
That's a good point. Yeah.
When they're plastering something on mainline news, on the mainstream media, when they're throwing it out there, there's something they don't want you to look at. Figure out what that something is, and you'll be that much closer to figuring out what's going on.
So I'm not the only one that gets tired of hearing about Lady Gaga's puppies and who is it, Elizabeth Hurley in the bikini that they always throw out like once a month?
Oh yeah, I mean the dogs. It was like, really? It's the dogs. Now I'm sorry the guy got shot, but did you hear him scream? I was like,
no, I didn't see the video. I
watched it on the news like a half hour before the show. I saw it on the news, and I was like, I actually had to Google and see the picture. I was like, I got to see a picture of this Ryan guy because it was like I thought it was a female screaming. I was like, what the? No, it's a dude with a beard. Yeah, I was like, well, okay then.
Folks,
I'm glad he's safe.
Folks in the chat, if you think the airstrikes in Syria are good or bad for this country moving forward, can you let me know in the chat? And I'm going to ask you the same thing. What are the implications, Rob, of the airstrikes moving forward for the rest of the year? Like gas prices, we know are going up. Are there any other implications?
Well, there's always ramifications. It all depends on I'm gonna have to look into it. I'm gonna have to see who the proxy is, because when we're at war or when we're bombing somebody, it's just a chessboard, and we're just moving pieces, assets on that chessboard. The real players are the other people that we don't see. Typically you see the U.S., but like when, for example, in Afghanistan in the 70s and 80s, you had the Afghani Mujahideen that was fighting the Soviets. But what people failed to realize was it was a war of the U.S. versus Russia, but for the assets in that area, we were just using proxies to do it. That's why Osama bin Laden had so much resources and backing from the U.S. government, because we didn't want the Russians in Afghanistan either. So we trained his men. We funneled money to his men. We did all kinds of shit, gave them Stinger missiles that they would turn around later and use on our shit. And a lot of people don't realize for a long time, the terrorist known as Osama bin Laden was a U.S. ally. It was a U.S. asset. Many people don't realize that. So you got to look and see who the players are. Try to see where the money's coming from. If you can follow the money, you can typically find out what's going on. I always like to say with Osama, we should have seen that one coming, because after he had called out to the Clinton administration when all the genocides were happening up in where the hell was it? Up in southern Russia. They were killing Muslims, Serbia and stuff like that. And he had to actually, a lot of people don't realize, he had actually contacted the State Department and asked for assistance, because he was sending his Mujahideen soldiers from Afghanistan up there to fight to keep them from killing all those Muslim women and children. And the Clinton administration at the time said no, we're not getting involved in that. And that was when our dog broke the chain, because he told them, and you can look it up. Well, when I'm done with them, since you turned your back on us now, I'm coming for you. We've done your work in Afghanistan all these years, and now you want to turn your back on us when we need you? We're coming for you next.
That's one thing I don't think. Of course, they're younger. They're 20 somethings in most cases, college age kids. But that's one thing they don't really think through. Like, they are pro-Islam, which I'm not here to bash Islam. I'm just saying they beat the drum of Islam. Christianity's bad. Islam's good. But they also beat the drum of communism and socialism. I'm like, guys, they don't mix. If that happens, Islam is doomed.
Well, here's the thing is that it's funny because the left, and I have friends of every religion, but the left is always, the progressive left is always talking about, oh, well, we need to have more rights for this and this and that. And I'm not against equal rights for everybody. But what I find amusing is when you see like gay pride people holding up flags like, I support Islam. And it's like, do you understand what would happen to you in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia? I could legally toss you off a rooftop, and nothing would happen to me. I'd be like, he was homosexual.
The most ironic thing I've ever seen, and I actually went and got my daughter. My daughter just became a teenager, and I brought her in the living room. I'm like, look at the irony here, okay? I explained to her. It was a women's rights rally. I think it was in D.C., but it was a Muslim. And she had her face covered and everything. I'm like, she's up here talking about women's rights, and she's not even allowed to show her face. Like, they have no rights. It was like I can't believe people buy this.
Yeah, it's different. It's a cultural thing. I mean, in some cultures they do allow it, in some cultures they don't. Because I've studied, all the major world religions. Originally, it was simply because, like Sun Tzu said, you must know your enemy and yourself, if you want to have a successful strategy. So I read the Quran from back to front. And I didn't say front to back, from back to front, because that's the way you read it. It reads backwards in their country, their cultures. So I've read it from back to front twice, just to make sure I knew what rules they were playing by, because in their book it has all the laws for armed conflict are in that book that they're allowed to play by. And so if I know the rules and I ever become captured or find myself behind enemy lines, I know what to quote to keep my ass alive. Like, oh, you can't do that because it says this. And they were like, oh, shit.
So really quickly, folks in the chat, if here on YouTube, if you are in the blue coats, like when you join, there's a coffee club and then there's the blue coats. The blue coats, folks, you have a link. I sent out a post with the link to join the show, and also over on Patreon, if you're at the top level there. I'm mentioning this because I see 6-Shooter Homestead in the green room, but his camera keeps cutting on and off. I don't know what's up with that. But as soon as his camera's on, we'll bring him over. But I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are, man, on the cancel culture. Ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard about it. People always, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get PC culture at all, period, in any way. The political correctness. I was told, how did they say it? I was once told I was brutally honest, almost to the point of being offensive. So I don't understand the people who, well, we can't do that, or can't do this. We got to stop, erase this part of history, or we got to do that. Just everybody just needs to be put on timeout. Let's put them all against the wall until they start acting right. Maybe whoop some of their asses just to get them in line, and realize that, life's not fair. We all in this country, we all have equal opportunity, but that doesn't guarantee equal outcome. If I am never, no matter how hard I try, no matter how hard I wish, practice, whatever. I will never be able to outplay LeBron James in one-on-one. It ain't going to happen. Never. Yes, we both have 2 arms, 2 legs. We both know what a ball is, but he has talent and skills that I will never have.
You know what happens when you get offended? Nothing. You wake up the next day and you just go back into life.
Yeah, suck it up. You
Yeah.
know, and stop thinking everything is owed to you. Nothing in life is free. My kid got me on that one time, because I always tell my kids, nothing's free. In some way, shape, or form, somebody's paying for it. She's like, well, Daddy, at school, the kids get the free lunch. I said, they don't get a free lunch. Daddy pays for that. What do you mean you pay for it? I said, they take some of my money out of my taxes, and they pay for those kids to have a meal. I said, now that is money that is actually coming out of your pocket, because that's extra money that I could be buying you stuff with. She says, well, that's not fair. I was like, I know it's not fair. I said, but this is what we're doing right now, and it does help other people. I said, and if we have some extra, we should help. I said, but nothing in life is free. And then one day, I was on my way to my buddy's picnic, and there was a popcorn cart in the park. And my little girl said, Daddy, can we get some popcorn? I said, I'm sure they'll have popcorn at the picnic, baby. I said, we'll just go there where we can get it where it's free. And she said, but Daddy, you said nothing's free. And I was like, God damn it. And I was like, you're right. I said, Uncle Mike's paying for the popcorn. I said, and someday he'll be like, hey, I need a favor. Can you come and help me move? Can you come and give me a ride? I think he's going to, and that's how I will repay that. So yes, he's giving us free popcorn today, but I'm going to pay for it one way or another down the road.
All right, I'm gonna bring in another guest here, and
All right.
Can you hear us, Dusty?
Oh, hey, yeah, I was looking at the chat.
It on and not holding.
Right.
What are you doing, brother?
I'm out here on the road in Alabama right now, taking a break. So,
are you really?
Oh yeah.
So, what do you think on cancel culture, man? First of all, welcome to the show. I've watched your show several times. I've been lurking over there. I saw part of the game show, but even way before then, when you were back home, just doing some videos, I've watched those. I'm a huge fan. Cancel culture. What do you think?
Ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous. We're all just, it's getting to the point where it's all just sissified. It's time for the men to stand back up, take back what we need to do. Raise your families, be right. Stop trying to be a punk. That's what all this cancel culture is actually being, just a punk. Yeah. People coming from the West Coast with all this purple haired crap. It's all fun and games, all it is for them.
Dusty's throwing it all out there. So I'm going to ask y'all both something, and I'm going to ask the lobby too. I've mentioned this in a couple of videos before, but it seems to me that after 9/11, this country was like totally solid. We didn't have any arguing between Democrats and Republicans. Just everybody loved America. They backed up first responders. They backed up the military. And to me, this is when the political correctness started. And it's kind of worn that away to the point where, they're like, you can't say this. You don't want to offend this group. You can't say this. And now it doesn't even seem like America sometimes to me.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's been going on. I mean, that might have amplified it just because it was a specific religious sect, if you will, that was the focus of 9/11, if you look at it. So people started saying, well, it was them. And then, of course, people had to come up, well, it wasn't all of them. It was only a small group. But then you'll turn around and you'll say, well, cops are bad. Well, not all of them. No, all of them. So it's like they want their cake and eat it too. But I mean, the best way for you, right? Yes, the best way for them to control a population is by keeping us infighting. If we are fighting each other, we're not fighting them.
Oh yeah, and it's the aristocratic people. We are totally. We're not in touch with the politicians. They don't like us. We're just a means to an end, really. They really care less what happens to us. And the police, exactly. They are us. They're going to be our brothers. They're going to be our sisters. And what the ignorance is they're brainwashing the police that they don't even understand the Constitution anymore exists.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
know,
The law enforcement, the problem I have with law enforcement, and I've said it in multiple videos, there are a lot of good sheriff departments out there. There are a lot of good sheriff deputies out there, because they are elected officials. One, the sheriff is, and so his deputies report directly to him. If I have a problem with a sheriff deputy, I can go straight to my elected official, the sheriff, and say, fix this problem. And he will, because he knows he's up for re-election soon.
Yeah.
If there's a problem with Joe Blow beat cop, who the hell do I take it up with? It takes an act of God to get anything done. And again, a lot of them, the beat cops, the regular police, not sheriffs or sheriff deputies, but regular police departments, they just do what they're told. Period, point blank, by whoever, the mayor, the city manager, whoever's in charge. And a lot of the times in the big cities, it's a Democrat. They'll just do what they're told because they want to keep getting their paycheck. And that's just the way it is. Now, a lot of people say, well, how do we, the politicians, we got to vote them out. Voting isn't working. It's not going to work. And here's why. Because I can't name you not one person that I've met. Everybody I meet says, we need term limits. And I don't care if you're a Democrat, if you're a libertarian, if you're a Republican, if you're a progressive. Every person I've met says, yeah, politicians should only be in for so many times. If everyone in America believes in term limits, why can't we get politicians to put that bill out there to start the process? Because they're not going to limit their own power. We have to do it for them.
Yeah, every time I watch John's show, I go back to when Pinball Preparedness was starting his freedom gathering, and he mentioned that movie that Mel Gibson was in. He felt like he was going into the setting where everybody was trying to vote to go to war with the king.
The Patriot.
That movie, yeah, The Patriot. That movie has so many different phrases in there that just stand out these days. And you look at him saying, "Why settle for 3,000 tyrants 3 miles away, rather than one tyrant 3 miles away, 3,000 miles away?"
It's because it's becoming relevant again. I think we're headed that way. I mean, at some point, we're either going to have to totally submit to these people and become a socialist country and then a communist country and just give up all of our rights, or it's going to have to be 1776 again.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
Give us rights back.
I was really expecting it. I was really expecting it during the when that stuff was going on up the DC. I did not expect them to actually bum rush that building, but I was like going, "Oh shit, it's starting."
I think things got to get a lot worse. In fact, I even did a video about that thing. It's got to get worse.
Yeah.
People have to feel the pain, feel the pressure of what the government can do before they're willing to stand up, or even to back people who will stand up. Because there's a lot of people that won't. Like you hear about, the 3% or stuff, because 97% didn't do anything. But you still need support. And the people of the country have to suffer at the hands of the government before they'll be willing to back people who are willing to stand up against the government. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I wonder if, we know the gun grab's coming at some point. I wonder if that's going to be the line. A lot of people say that's the line for them, but I truly wonder if that's really going to be enough.
Well, gun grab, a lot of people, and I hear people saying, "Oh, well, it's just, yeah, we're going to have to pay a tax." This a lot. They're talking about the National Firearms Act, NFA, and they're talking about that as a tax. But a lot of people do not understand how the NFA system works. Has anyone here ever bought an NFA item like a suppressor or a machine gun? If you have, raise your hand. Oh, okay. If you haven't, here's how the process works real quick. If they say everything on this list, this type of, AR-15s, whatever, weapons of war are now NFA items, and you must pay the tax. Well, first you fill out your paperwork. You take it to your sheriff with the serial number of that stuff, or whoever they designate. You say, "This is the item I want to register and pay my tax on." They say, "Okay." You hand them that, you give them the check, and guess what? It takes at least a year to process that. And guess what? You have to surrender that item while it's being processed if you already have it. You turn it in at the same time you apply for that tax. As soon as you hand them that check, so you're going to be handing them a check and your weapon at the same time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. Oh well, we're just going to tax it like it's going to be a NFA item. Well, if you know anything about how the system works, you have to surrender that weapon to that official who now knows that you have it because you wrote it on a card and gave it to him and said, "I've got this. I need to get a tax stamp for it." And there you go.
I was just going to say thank you really quickly to Jason for the super chat. No, I totally agree. To me, it seems like the gun grab would be that defining moment, but at the same time, in our country right now, there are certain areas that are not. It's illegal to collect rainwater.
Yeah,
and we have people that allow this in a free country. So if they're going to allow that, I don't have high hopes that people will ever stand up. Hopefully they will.
I actually heard a story about that, about somebody doing that in Oregon, I believe. And what they were doing was they created a dam, a big lake, and they created a dam to collect rainwater. And that's what brought that about.
Yeah, he got in jail. That guy went to jail.
Yes.
How you doing?
His own property.
Pretty good. How about y'all?
Good, man.
Good.
What are your thoughts on everything, the cancel culture and all this stuff, the nonsense?
It's getting crazy. Some of our friends were over earlier and said that there's some kind of post. I don't know where they seen it at, but they're trying to cancel Dr. Seuss books now. Something about some kind of racist stuff.
I saw that earlier. Yeah.
Mr. Potato Head, everything else.
I seen that.
Or something is
we
what
can't erase it. We can't erase the bad. We need to learn from the bad. It's like Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer books. Yeah, it has some bad stuff in there, but we learn from that. That's one of my favorite things.
You're absolutely right, Dusty. And the thing is, when it comes to like, you'll hear a lot still about slavery, and I get it. Slavery was freaking terrible. I don't agree with that whatsoever. But rather than punishing people that are here now that had nothing to do with it, I would rather see us focus our attention on stopping slavery that's still happening in other parts of the world, or maybe the trafficking that we're seeing, the human trafficking, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've seen so much of that
stuff
shit.
is still happening.
Oh yeah. I mean,
But
there are slaves everywhere globally.
Yeah.
And just like you were saying with the trafficking, that's a big slavery market now.
It's sad, man. It's pathetic. I can't say too much on here about it because I did a video at the beginning of last week, and I'd mentioned trying to rescue kids from trafficking, and got a nasty deal from YouTube threatening to throw a strike on the channel. I'm like, really? You would think they would want this stuff out here, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where all that is located. It's people who got that. I forget what that visa is. They got to come over here from other places. They don't involve our American culture and their ideology through Google and YouTube.
Ridiculous. Well, guys, the next thing I have written down here is the Great Reset. Do you guys think it's real? Do you think it's coming soon? What are your thoughts on it? And also the folks in the chat. I'm trying to watch the chat as well.
Well, I think it's happening right now, personally.
Yeah, I would agree with him. It's there is no whether, in my opinion, there is no whether it is or is not real when you can go to the World Economic Forum's website and see that it's what they're saying. Other than them coming on live TV on CNN or Fox News with an actual printout of what is on their website and saying, this is what we're doing, and reading it out loud. I don't know how much more clear it needs to be that, yeah, they're trying to consolidate and, move all their pieces so that it benefits their vision of where they want the global economy to go.
What about you?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe it's they're getting it set in place. It may take a while to get it exactly push through, but they're laying the groundwork. And if I remember right, this past campaign, there was some of them that had that in their list of, I'm gonna do if I win, and kind of stuff like that, if I remember right.
Yeah. Because admittedly, I didn't know a whole lot about, Bitcoin and crypto and stuff like that. And selling Prepper, if he's still in here, he sent a bunch of stuff over and explained it. And then Rudy at Alaska Prepper, he's really good at explaining this stuff. But the one thing I worry about is the government stepping in at some point and just taking over one of them, because greed, man. The banks. I mean, look, in my opinion, the banks, Wall Street and Silicon Valley run this country, and they're not just going to let people have their own deal. They're going to stay rich. They always fall on the right side of things. You know what I mean? Seems like.
Well, I'm currently in a process of still building crypto mining machines. So if you want one, let me know.
Crypto mining machines?
Yeah, you mine. The algorithm runs, and you run the algorithm for them. They pay you for the blockchain.
Wow. No, I don't know. Like, I know how it works, like the very basic kindergarten basics of it. I've thought about purchasing some, but not like stock, not the machines or anything like that.
Oh, you mine it. You can mine it for them, run the hashes, and all you're doing is creating code.
Yeah.
For them, just one substantial code, because the way blockchain works, you cannot change this one without changing the very beginning one, and subsequently all the way down. It takes way too long to hack it. So you've always got a permanent record.
So I like that it's peer-to-peer,
Yeah, I like to take fiat currency that I get from doing labor, and I like to buy small amounts here of silver, small amounts of gold there, because if I open up old books, or go to museums, I see that the pharaohs 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 years ago had gold and silver. It's time tested, proven, it's good to go. Even if there's an EMP, which would render Bitcoin gone. My silver and gold will still be there. I can always, it's since the dawn of mankind, silver and gold, and it'll be that way till the end of days.
As a prepper, I've got it all. Got your gold, I got your silver. I got a nice fat stack.
First, yeah.
1922 silver dollars.
Yeah, I normally chase down whatever Morgans I can find. I know some are worth more than others, but I look at, spot price, and I try and get them as close to that as I can get them, because I'm a cheapskate like that, But where they came through the government, people, I guess, trust them a little more than the generic rounds, stuff like that. What about you, 6-shooter?
Honestly, I probably need to buy some gold and silver, but I really haven't got into that yet, because I'm trying to focus on homestead stuff, and I still got a lot of projects to do with that. And if we get all that squared away and everything stays, relatively normal, I plan on investing in some silver, maybe. I don't know if I can afford gold the way it's.
No, I can't afford
the price is.
What do you have, like, in terms of bartering right now? If it came down to it, we woke up in Mad Max tomorrow and you had to barter stuff off. Do you have any type of barter items?
Honestly, it would be homestead stuff, animals and everything. We actually earlier today ended up butchering 19 chickens to put some meat in. We did some canning and put some in the freezer too, and things like that. And I want to be able to produce, food and stuff like that, the meat and garden and all that. And that's kind of what I would lean on right now if I had to barter.
I ain't even going to ask Dusty. I can see it on his face. He's just going to park his truck and put a sign on the side that says booth.
Well, I guess somebody a nice, safe, secure place to rest their head at night. They can sleep in a semi truck where I'm well guarded.
Yeah, he's going to sit up front with a gun while they sleep. So there you go, lone wolves. Okay, folks, we'll talk about a giveaway shortly, but right now I'm going to open it up to any questions you guys have. Just put it in all caps, please, and we'll cover whatever you guys want to talk about here. There are Forrest over here talking about Everclear. Forrest, you can barter that stuff off if you can find it. Some states it's illegal, some it's not.
Well, see,
I wanted to
had it
ask
like-
you guys about your states. In my state, they've legislated it an actual executive order that we're allowed to, permitted to grow crops in our front yard and our backyards anywhere in the state of Florida.
They've forbidden you to do it.
You know, they've made an executive action that says we are allowed to.
Well, that's very nice of them
Yeah, that's
Right.
good. That's
to
good.
give you the right to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, use your own land as you want. It's okay. Yeah, I didn't need your permission in the first place. It's mine.
These.
But
What about homeowners associations? Hopefully, you guys aren't in one because they drive me
No.
insane.
yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm not a very
Would
people-y
never.
person when it comes to that.
No, I would
Oxford
never.
Prepping is asking, what is the best county in West Virginia for off-grid or homestead?
Oh, I wouldn't know exactly which county it is because there's a lot of counties in West Virginia. But myself, I was looking somewhere down around the New River, from the New River Gorge area of West Virginia, which would be central West Virginia, just east of Charleston. Yeah, east of Charleston, all the way down to where John's at. The geographical isolation of the mountains provides amazing shelter. But if you want to look around, Google Hatfield and McCoy's. If you look at the regions where they came from, there's a reason settlers were there in the first place, all the way back into them olden days, because there's resources. It's geographically isolated. Nobody wants to be there for the most part. There's no jobs. So make sure if you're going there, you have some source of income, or you're retired or whatever. But land is cheap through most of the central and southern West Virginia, and the resources tend to be plentiful. Really, there's so many different counties that you could go to. But I was
Somebody's asking what OFC stands for.
Order from chaos, because only together we can bring order from chaos.
Oh, hey, John, I'm going to jump out of here, man. I just want to make a couple of good points. You're always welcome in the show. When I got a show opening, man, come over to play Preparedness. It's Sunday nights at 10.
Fun to watch, man.
I got your
like Jeopardy or something, right?
Yeah, it's just like Jeopardy. I give away big grand prizes, but everybody gets a prize for playing. Really would love to have you on there. I got your sweatshirt, Prepper Nation sweatshirt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man, I love it. Thanks. Good, nice.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, man. Just throwing it out there. Northern Girl Hobbies. She has fucking merch. Have a good night, man.
Yeah, be safe,
Right.
man.
But yeah, like you were saying about barter items and stuff, like I have a couple different caches of food stores, and my Lord bags, you know the deal of long-term storage, and I have it broken down and in various locations, but mine are actually at remote people's locations where people already live, members of my group. So that way, and I tell them, I say, if something happens to me and I never show up for my stuff, have at it. There's 6 months worth of food here. So,
Yeah.
I typically keep at least a year's supply to feed myself and my baby sharks and one or two other adults.
Yeah, here I have some silver. I don't know if I could barter right now. I don't know if I could barter off food or freedom seeds. These two things, like, it would have to be extremely good deal one way. And gasoline, I'm starting to be on the fence about, honestly.
Freedom seeds. Let's see. What was it? $2 a round. $2 a seed for 357 and 38.
Yeah.
Up here.
Well, I
$2
can't find any. I was looking at a 12 gauge today, and normally I wouldn't even be looking at a 12 gauge, but it's literally the only ammo I've seen. I saw some 22. It's probably been over a month, and it was $1 a round.
Oh yeah, hey, it's time to start making your own homemade black powder. Get your old muskets out.
I'd be afraid to shoot it, man. I'd barter.
Man.
Oh yeah,
I'm using a blunderbuss, son. I'm gonna be there with a blunderbuss, like.
I would love to have a blunderbuss that wouldn't blow back in my face or something.
Oh man, that'd be great. Just
your ammo's everywhere.
Bunch of forks and spoons shoved in there.
Yeah.
We get stupid with that shit. You know, hey, I've got the flag already. We'll just fly that sucker. I got the blunderbuss. You can have some muskets. You know.
Yeah, man. Some gravel, some marbles, whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that'd be. Look, I don't want to. I don't want to find. We have to go to some specialist. I want to find a bunch of glass eyes and just fill it up with. So it's just a bunch of eyeballs.
Glass eyes. Let's see here. Jonah says, do any of you bury catches? And if yes, when, what distance in between the boxes? For me, I do. I've got a couple, but they're not here. They're near the bug out location. And they're near enough to where I can get to them if I would have to leave the bug out location. As long as you remember where they're at, that's the main thing, right?
Yeah,
and I normally use ammo cans myself.
I mean, you can. It's a good idea for certain things, unless you have a tight knit group of people like a mag or whatever that you can leave things scattered at different locations where you can rotate out the old stuff, put in new stuff, use the old stuff over time. I find that to be more efficient, but it could very well quickly come to that point where you need to start burying shit to hide shit. But again, if I'm burying stuff to keep it away from people, it's probably time for me to start using it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I don't know. The only way I would think about burying stuff, you know, if I was in a mag, would be for my kids, just putting it back in case something happened to me and my kids had a bolt. They would have something. But other than that, no, you definitely have to trust the people you're grouped up with, man. You know.
Yeah, in my group, if we're burying something, we're probably not supposed to talk about who or what we're burying at this point in time.
Well, you know what I'm saying. You got to trust the people around you.
Y'all come knocking on. Y'all come knocking. Yeah, I'm saying.
Sleep, man.
Oh, I get that. I'm just saying. You know, we don't. You know, West Virginia, we don't like government men coming up our hollers. You come up the wrong holler, you might stay up that holler a long time.
I've been through. My best friend Caveman James is actually from, I think it's called Blue Well, West Virginia, or something, or Welch, West Virginia.
Bluefield.
Like well, it's up near Bluefield. It's right across the border. It's Welch or something.
Okay, I have to look at a map.
Yeah, I've been through some of the coal towns. It's up in coal towns and stuff. And it's really crazy because the first time I went up there, you know, the whole town just looked like it was 200 years old. But then when you got to the, how can I put this? The gentleman's club, the topless clubs and stuff, these things look like $1 million mansions. And they had these huge alcohol stores. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, there's still a lot of shiners in up here. You know, a lot of people think it was only Tennessee. It's like, no, there's a lot of shiners in the hillbilly, as we call it. And you know, the wrong government man go knocking on the wrong door at the wrong time, he ain't never coming back. So when we say we burying some, it's a cache. You know.
Freedom 0131 says, how do you find a group to join?
Honestly, you probably already know people. I'd almost guarantee. Go on if you are on the Book of Face, Freedom. If you are on the Book of Face, look at your friends that are posting all the anti-Biden shit or talking crap on Biden, and all the ones that are doing like this or saying I miss Trump or wasn't that bad under Trump. Those people are probably the people that you want to form a group with.
Yeah. If they're over there saying, hey, you know, socialism wouldn't be that bad, probably avoid those people. I don't know if those would be the first ones I reach out to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, avoid them. Hope that helps. I mean,
what about you, Six Shooter? Are you a part of a group, or are you just the Homestead is your group?
Actually, we formed our group. We all go to the same church, and we kind of had that foundation and kind of went from there. And that's really what we done. But there's several different ways, like he's talking about with, you know, social media, the ones that are close to you. You can tell you followed somebody long enough to know if they think like you or not.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you're having like a local town hall on the Second Amendment, people that want to preserve the Second Amendment, go to the town hall, because most of the people that are there and that are pissed are probably the kind of people that you would want to start to talk to. At least you have that in common.
Go to your
that's
local
really
shooting range.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Second Amendment stuff is really a foundational issue. You can tell right there if you're going to be able to get along with somebody or not. If they're anti-Second Amendment, they're not going to make a good prepper group.
I don't understand how they could be anti-Second Amendment. I understand some people don't like guns. They don't want to be around them, but they don't have to be.
Mhm.
It's not like everybody's forced into it. But
Brainwashing.
yeah, the police, I think on average they take 8 or 9 minutes to get to your house. That's a lot of time for something to happen if you don't have a firearm,
Oh yeah, and it's sad now too, because like I've told other people before, there's been a purge steadily through the military's ranks, pushing out conservatives, big under Obama, purging the officer ranks. And it started trickling down into and now you see it, they're screening for extremist views and political views of soldiers and stuff. But I clearly, to this day, vividly, I remember a first sergeant I had telling junior soldiers that the Second Amendment is irrelevant and that civilians shouldn't own firearms. I'm like, how are you even a first sergeant in the U.S. military when you're against the very Constitution you swore to protect? You are a disgrace by saying that very thing.
And you made a point even on your own channel that this is not a right that the government has granted us. We're born into this world with the right to defend ourselves. It's kind of a basic deal, but we're being told right now by politicians who are surrounded by armed, Capitol officers that guns are bad.
Oh yeah.
Reese B, thank you. Reese B asks, what are our thoughts on HR 127? Do you think it will pass? And if so, what will follow?
I don't think it will right now. I could be wrong. I'm not always right. Most of the time, but not always. I think it's just going to lay precedent for them to do more in the future. And they'll keep hitting it little by little until they eventually do get what they want. But right now, I would be looking at them trying to make it like we said, the NFA, using the NFA to register. You gotta get a tax, pay the tax on your weapon. The minute you pay your tax on that weapon, if they're going on the NFA, you were surrendering that weapon. Now, if it takes as of 2 years ago, it took about a year to get an NFA tax stamp approval back. That was back then. Now, if you have all of these firearms, tens of millions of them, that need to be registered, do you think it's going to take a year? No. And that's do you think they're going to hire a bunch of extra bureaucrats and paper pushers to help push your weapon through the system for approval? No. So you're talking what? They've got your weapon in a vault somewhere for 3 to 4 years, and that's if your tax stamp comes back approved. But you know what? Oh, I can't really. The signature is smudged on this form, rejected. Guess what? You just lost your weapon and paid them to keep it.
6-shooter, what do you think? I know you got weapons, man. I've seen them.
I got a couple. But yeah, I believe what he's saying. They're kind of throwing this out as a wild card. It's most likely not going to go through, but a month or so down the road, they'll bring out something else that's a little less bad, and it'll most likely get passed because it's like, hey, they were trying to do this, now they're only doing this. So, it's a possibility that that's their game, but it could very well go through just like it is. I mean, the way things are going now politically, it's hard to say. I mean, you basically wake up one day to the next and see how bad it is. But I believe, like he said, that they're really pushing that, just throwing it out there so they can bring in smaller measures at a time. And with the whole NFA thing and registering and everything, I mean, far as I know, I don't think they have a time limit. If it takes them 10 years to get to your form, it takes 10 years.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say, and I can't even take credit for it. I think Native and Devout Preppers had said at one time, but it's kind of like the kid that goes into the store and they want the $20 toy, so they ask for the $50 toy, and the parents are like, "No, you're not getting that. Let's go ahead and settle on the $20 toy." I think that they are trying to like massively overreach with something ridiculous like this, and they're just slowly chipping away, and they're taking the gun rights a little bit at a time. Eventually, they're going to have them.
Well, no, because they can't take what you don't give them, and so you just say, "Make me." Back to that, like a Bear Independence will tell you, they got shirts now. Make me. You can't have a firearm. Okay, make me. But the thing is, a lot of people, let me retract that, very few people have the mentality to follow through on that.
That's the problem.
I was told when I was operating overseas, never make a threat or a promise that you can't back up or won't back up. So if I told a villager, I'm going to rain hell and burn your village to the ground, I damn well better be ready to rain hell and burn their village to the ground. If I told a villager, in a couple weeks, I'm going to have a well drilled on this property for your village, I better damn well have that well drill started in a couple weeks. Either way. So if I say, they say, well, your weapons are illegal, and I say, well, if you come and take them, you get in the bullets first, I better be willing to do that. And not a lot of people are. Some of us are.
Yeah.
Some of us have no problem.
That's the problem. And I think that bureaucrats know this. I think that it's the same thing with the masks. Most people are just going to comply blindly. They're just going to submit. It's like their default. And then you're going to have a few that are just not going to submit. But it's going to get to the point where they're just going to try and arrest them. These are troublemakers, even though they're standing up for their own rights. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like there's enough people willing to stand up. If there were enough people, then we'd see some real change in this country. But there's just not.
But they're going to keep picking them off one by one.
Yeah, that's it.
Until there was no one left.
That's just like in my area. I live pretty rural and everything, but I mean, if you'd have told me 2 years ago that people would have reacted to this deal the way that they did, I never would have believed you. Not in a million years.
No, it's I mean, just even toward last year to this year at this time, it went from somebody would cough and people would just turn around and look at them for a second. And now it's like a bunch of masked drones walking around. Now they're talking about 2 and 3 masks at one time, just keep stacking them on until people can't even breathe,
Oh yeah, people. I'd go onto a site, a location here in the oil field, and they had the little people out there, wearing their face shield and this stuff, checking your ID when you come onto the site. Have you been traveling? I'm like, no. Do I live here? Of course I've been traveling. Well, do you have any symptoms? Of what? Of COVID. Do you know what the symptoms are? They would say no. I'd say headache, sneezing, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, constipation. I'd be like, do you ever have any of those? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, you might have it. I'm like, but no, I'm not worried about that stupid shit. I got things to do. And they just look at me or they another good one, they would say, are you showing any symptoms? No, I feel better. I mean, I was a little feverish when I first got back from China last week, but I'm okay now. How you doing? And they just stare at you like, are you serious?
Where is, since we're on the subject, where is the original flu at? Like the actual flu? Where did it go?
The coronavirus, you mean? Yes. And that's the funny thing is because they blanket statement the coronavirus. The coronavirus is just the shape of it because it looks like the sun's coronal mass ejection. It's round with little spike proteins that come off of it. The actual name of this virus is SARS-CoV-2, not to be confused with SARS-CoV-1. But SARS-CoV-2 is COVID-19, coronavirus, which the regular flu A and flu B are also coronaviruses. It's just become medicine. Like everybody's like, oh, it's a coronavirus. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's SARS-CoV. I've even told people, I say, well, your mask doesn't protect you from SARS-CoV-2. They're like, well, yeah, but it protects me from coronavirus. And I just look at them.
The woo flu.
Yeah. And that's why, when it first happened, they were like, oh, it came out of, and I was chuckling because I was hearing, again, psychological operations. I was hearing bullshit, and I knew it was bullshit. And I'm like, I knew people were buying it. And they're like, oh, it came out of this, this seafood market in Wuhan. And I'm like, my military brain is like, there's a bioweapons lab in Wuhan, And I'm like, well, what are the odds that it would show up a mile down the road from a known biological weapons lab, a level 4 containment facility? Yeah, I don't believe in coincidence. So they can, yeah. And now they're finally saying, well, yeah, it did come from the lab. Oh, you didn't tell me nothing. I didn't damn know.
I mean, I continue, of course, every other commercial when you're in a store, brick and mortar or something shopping is, thank you for loving your community, not killing everybody because you're wearing 4 masks and you're exactly 6 feet apart. But occasionally I'll even hear a regular flu shot commercial.
Yeah,
well, I haven't heard any of them.
Flu?
And it's funny, that they're talking about wearing the mask when I think it was today or yesterday, the New York Times ran a post about how Google, Amazon, and somebody else still has a ban on advertising for medical masks because of last year. They said that they were, giving false information that it could help protect you from the coronavirus. It's like, well, which one is it?
Yeah. And James in the chat, he's exactly right. It's this way here. He said, but if you're in an eating place, you're fine. You can't catch it while you're eating. They're
you're
doing
sitting
that here where I'm at. Yeah. Every other table, they'll seat you. And then you
got to be sitting down, though.
Yeah. For West Virginia, and I was flipping shit on, amongst friends when I was listening to the governor a while back. Our governor is extremely humorous sometimes, when he's like, just follow the guidelines. And, but he was going through the numbers, the death toll from COVID. And at the time, it was like a few months ago, it was like 1,500 people had died from COVID. Well, I did some Googling. How many people in 2018, 17, 16, what's the average number that die from upper respiratory infections? It's typically around 1,500 to 1,600 people in the state of West Virginia on an annual basis that die from upper respiratory infections. Now he's coming out, we've had 1,509 people that have passed away from COVID. So the numbers haven't changed.
How many people have died from, drinking and driving or cancer through tobacco use and stuff in the same amount of time? It's ridiculous, but they're taxing that stuff. So they can turn a blind eye to that, but for this, they'll crash the economy.
It's ultimately about control. It's about controlling the population, controlling the people.
I think about that every time I see people with masks on. It's funny. I was in Food City earlier today, and I'm standing in the back of the line, and one of my friends that I haven't seen forever, he was in the Army. His name's Gerard, great guy, but he's standing in the back of the other line. And we're the only two, up at the front not wearing a mask. And he's like, they're saying we're going to have to wear masks until next year. And I'm like, no, we're going to have to wear 2 or 3. And we're sitting here talking about it, and people are staring at us because we're not wearing a mask.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is, like, if you see, especially down, in the Carolinas, go by a barbecue place. And if you see somebody wearing a mask and you can smell that, how you can smell that barbecue cooking? Just go over by them and be like, what is that smell? When they go, oh, it's barbecue. Say, oh, you can smell that? And watch the wheels start to click, start to turn. If you can smell that fucking barbecue.
I was just telling them in a post earlier tonight on YouTube, people don't get common sense, so I'm just going to start being like super sarcastic in every store that I go to. You know?
Yeah, I mean, because literally, when you're wearing a military grade, and I hate that term because it's just built by the lowest bidder most of the time anyway, but a mask designed to protect you from viruses or from poisonous gases, you can smell absolutely nothing. I have been in gas chambers with the military during training, and you cannot smell the gas at all. If you can smell it, your gas mask isn't working, or you're not getting a proper seal. So if you can smell it, your mask is no good.
I've thought about getting, the pool noodles. You know what I'm talking about, that you swim with and stuff. Getting one and measuring like a 6-foot halo, and figuring out a way to put this bad boy on in a store, and then hanging a couple of pictures of Dr. Fauci off of it.
I hate to tell you, but South Park beat you to that one.
Yeah, like
did they really?
If you watch the South Park pandemic special, Cartman had one.
No, I mean, I know it's South
4
Park
noodles.
No, I don't watch it. That sucks, man. I thought I was on to something there.
Yeah, that'd be
my other invention would be, some kind of spray that you spray in the air, and if it does not turn a certain color, somebody has COVID. I just want to freak people out, Just spray some water in the air and say, "Oh my God, somebody in here has COVID."
What does it go to a vaccine center and before you leave, throw a bunch of Alka-Seltzer in your mouth and be like,
start foaming in your mouth.
Yeah. Or go run into Walmart with a bunch of them in there. The vaccine's mutated. The virus mutated.
I don't feel too good. Just take the mask off and be foaming everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be wrong. That'd be wrong, but it'd be funny as hell, though.
Albert asks, and we're going to have to tiptoe around this one. He said, how many people have died with the Wuhan virus versus the needle that you might get to cure said virus?
Well, one is designed not, well, let me rephrase that. The needle, in theory, shouldn't kill you, although it does some people. Some people's body, like the doctor that was in Florida and a couple other people, just have bad reactions. It happens to every vaccine ever created will kill somebody. Somebody will have a thing with that. But at the end of the day, the vaccine, I got smallpox vaccine. Why? Because there was a potential that I could be hit with weaponized smallpox in the military overseas. So I wanted my body to have a little bit of exposure to that, so that way it knew what was coming in the event I got hit with actual smallpox. Now, this shot is supposed to build up your antibodies to create basically a simulation within your body, so that your body goes, oh, there's something here. And then you build up the antibodies and your body learns to attack it. Well, if this was the Spanish flu of 1918, which actually our modern flu A and B are both descendants of those strains, but we're not dying like we were back then because our bodies, our families have adapted over time. So this virus that is out there has such a low mortality rate. Yes, it does hit people that are older with underlying conditions, but you know what? A lot of these people would have died if they got an ingrown toenail, or if they got pneumonia. Because if you look at these people, there's a woman, I'm not going to mention her name. She told me, said, COVID killed my mother. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, and it dawned on me, wait a minute, you're like 60 years old. How old was your mother? She's like, oh, she was 93. Oh, and she was in good health. She goes, oh, well, no, she was battling stage 4 cancer for a couple of years now. I'm like, and you think COVID killed your mother? No.
Oh yeah. I
mean, yes, it might have gave her the chest infection, but there was she was on borrowed time.
Yeah.
It was on borrowed time. A lot of people want to blame, again, they want to blame their lack of keeping themselves healthy, living a healthy lifestyle, eating a healthy diet, which I am guilty of. I drink see these? They should be paying me because I drink 6 of these a day. All right. If I stop drinking these, I'm pretty sure my heart will flatline. It's just keeping a pulse going.
I ate a whole bag of Munchos last night, man. Whole bag myself.
I'm responsible for any underlying conditions that I have. McDonald's didn't force you to shove all those. You do not, as an individual, need to eat a 20-piece nugget by yourself. No, you don't. You don't need to eat a whole box of Little Debbie's. Look at the serving size. 1 doesn't mean box. It means 1 individual. Okay. So these people, and look, my mother, God rest her soul, loved her to death, but she complained, I can't lose weight. Mom, you've got a box of ho-hos in your nightstand by your bed. And well, that's if I want a snack in the middle of the night, and you wonder why you can't lose weight, Mom. Come on.
You know what I want to see? I want to see a company like Pfizer when they're coming out with one of these cures. I want them to name it kindness, so we can start killing people with kindness again for a change. You know what I'm saying?
Or what about an ammunition factory, ammo company?
Yeah.
Kindness ammunition.
Well,
you kill them with kindness.
I don't care what they call it, as long as they get some on the shelves. I can't find it.
Oh man, that'd be great. Yeah. Oh, I mean, you could get a slingshot, man. Be just surgical tubing.
Yeah, we have those here locally, like at Rural Kings and stuff. Outlaw Prepper just got one and some marbles. He said he's gonna take it camping.
Oh yeah, I like those. I got ball bearings and stuff, but I when it comes to small game like that, I usually have like 110 Kana bears. I have the spring leg traps. Of course, the 110 Kana bear is the for the body trap. Squirrels,
Paul says
like
now he wants ho-hos. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Oh, but I'm serious. I mean, there's so many people that are like, oh, well, it's a thyroid problem. I'm like, well, stop eating so many damn thyroids. Go to a meeting and get some help, because apparently they're out of whack. There is no other, and I understand people have medical conditions. Don't get me wrong. And I'm sure I'm going to get hate about it, but I don't give a shit. But here's the thing. There are no other mammals on the planet that will quadruple their damn weight as an adult because of gland issue. You don't see like giraffes waddling across the Sahara, the Serengeti, just like, oh, I got a gland problem. No, you don't see. I mean, you just don't see it.
It's going to be a lot worse now that Daddy Gates is putting all this new fantastic food out too, right? All this potato food or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, and I mean, people are like, well, I don't want to, I'm not eating insects. Look, first off, insects aren't that bad. But I don't. If I'm eating meat, I want to eat meat. If I want to eat beef, I want to eat beef.
If you're going to go to Burger King and go through all of the bad customer service experience, you want real beef.
Yeah. That's why I go to Wendy's. Dave Thomas didn't cut corners. That's why they're square. I'm just saying. But I mean, that's an old dad joke. But yeah, I mean, a lot of countries, people don't realize, meat ain't always what you think it is. I mean, I've been places and people are like, oh man, this is good. I'm like, yeah, have you seen a cow in the past week? And they're like, no. I'm like, that ain't
cow.
That ain't cow, man. I'm like, they're like, it's good. I'm like, well, what is it? They're like, what is it? I'm like, don't ask if you don't really want to know.
Make sure it doesn't have beard hairs in it, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I had friends in the military that ate dog on a regular basis.
Wow.
My kid's mom, we were at Olive Garden a couple years back, and she's eating the shrimp scampi. And I'll never forget, I hear her sigh, and I look over because I'm chowing down, man. I got my chicken Alfredo, and we're at Olive Garden, and she's looking at this shrimp on the end of the fork, just staring at it. And she sighed, and I said, is something wrong with your food? She goes, oh, I miss eating mice. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You miss eating mice? Well, yeah, it's good. I'm like, baby, you're in a first world country now. You don't have to eat mice.
At least for the time being, right?
Well, yeah, I'm like, if you wanted to eat mice, first off, I could have got you a half a dozen over here at the PetSmart, a lot cheaper than that food you're eating right there. So
they pass a few more of these stimulus bills, we're going to be eating mice, and we're going to be third world status.
I mean, meat's meat, Like I said, I'll eat the neighbors if the shit get too bad.
So I got to
mean,
mention it real quick. We are getting close to 35,000 subscribers, which is insane at Prepper Nation. And we got to do some sort of a giveaway. I don't have any dog tags to give away. We got to give away something big. So what I'm going to end up doing, what I decided is once we hit 35,000, one person, I'm going to be sending this to one person. I have 3 sponsors. I'm going to send you one of each. I'm going to send you a pair of Pit Vipers. I'm going to send you a 60 serving of Ready Wise, like the bucket, and then the Duke Cannon ammo can filled with manly soaps and shaving stuff. So there you go. There's the giveaway info. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. Yep.
You got to pitch it. Got to make your pitch, man.
Well, we got to give away something. I can't even. It's hard to even fathom that we're almost to 35,000. You guys will be there eventually. You'll understand it
someday. Oh, hey, man. I already got merch.
Yeah, you're probably at 35,000 now. We've been going for 2 hours, man. So. But yeah, man, I'm checking here to see if there's any more questions, but everybody's talking about eating rats and mice now.
Hey, look,
barbecued
on
a lot. Stick.
Now, like in Thailand, in northeast Thailand, it was not uncommon because, like, my brother-in-law, he would eat the cobras. His sister, my ex-wife, would eat the rats. Now, what would happen is the rats would come out of the rice paddy fields. They would see that, so they go whack them, hit them with a hoe or whatever they had, and then they just wait because they know that cobra's coming short behind, following that rat up. And as soon as it comes onto that dirt road, whack its head off with the damn hoe, call it a day.
Now I can eat a lot of wild animals, like around here, squirrel and, believe it or not, groundhog is kind of sort of common. I would have a tough time eating snake. I'm not even. I
ain't eating no snake.
I mean, that would be hard for me to stomach.
I mean, it's not really. Have you ever tried alligator? Have you ever eaten gator?
No.
Oh, it's not bad. I eat it all the time when I'm down, because when I go down to Florida to stay for a little while, I always eat it down there. Gator bites, things like that. But it's not bad. Now I know Grim won't eat any of that stuff because the book.
I mean, if I'm starving, of course I would eat it. I'm not going to sit here and say I wouldn't eat it, but.
Well, my kids, when I, and I teach, it's all about what you're taught from a young age. And my children will tell you, if you ask my 13-year-old, hey, if we're out in the woods, where can you find food? She'll tell you, flip over a rock. It's that simple. It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be tasty. Not going to be the best thing you ever put in your mouth, but it'll keep you alive.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, stay away from slugs and snails because they carry different parasites. I'm like, but other than that, earthworms, crickets, grasshopper, flip a rock, you'll find food in an emergency.
Yeah, everybody's over here saying the snake tastes like chicken. And I said everything tastes like chicken. To hear people tell it,
Yeah.
I mean, even this fake chicken they're coming out with tastes like chicken. They say
chicken. Yeah.
What is it? Lab created meat. It's not even, some of it's not even bugs and stuff. Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah, well, I don't need to know. As long as it have feathers on it, none of them. We'll pluck them off, and that's good.
As long as it's 99 cents and on a bun, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, I was at a friend's farm a long time ago when my now 13-year-old was like 6, and I had this old hen that we were gonna get rid of, and he says, "Oh my God, don't let Tom see what you're going to do to that chicken." I'm like, "Dude, this is your farm. Tom doesn't know what happens to chickens," and he's like, "No." Well, I'm walking back behind the barn. And I got the hen in one hand dangling by her feet, and I got a axe in the other hand. My little girl sees me. She goes, "Daddy, make me some nuggets." And I was like, "Okay." She knew that the head was coming off.
Be Charming said fake chicken. I guess they'd never heard of fake chicken. Yeah, they are experimenting right now with lab produced meats. I don't actually know what they're made out of. Do either of you know what they're made out of? It looks like a 3D printer almost.
All I can think of is the old movie Soylent Green. Soylent Green is people.
Wow.
That's all I know. Did you ever watch Soylent Green, John?
No, I've never seen it, but I will never eat an Impossible Whopper now.
It was from the 70s. I think it might have been Charleston Heston. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But yeah, the people's ration was called Soylent Green, and it turned out at the end, spoiler alert, that anybody who died, anybody who died in the population was sent to a recycling plant to be turned into Soylent Green.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. But
it's
I ain't got no idea what they make it out of, but that's one reason we moved into the homestead. And what you grow yourself, you know exactly what's in it, where it came from. And like I said, we killed like 19 chickens today, and my kids helped us with that, so they're learning that kind of stuff at an early age.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you got to teach
good.
them. If you don't teach them, somebody else will.
Mm-hmm.
Hidden City Prepper, thank you. They said both guests are awesome. Unique educational videos. Thank you very much. Yeah, they are awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
OFC even put together a video. You were trying to scale down the side of a mountain or something. Is that right? In my
it was. Well, no, I was just trying to show you. You inspired me on it, and it was just a little hill. It was some people were like, "That's not a damn hill. That's a cliff." I'm like, "No, that's a hill where I come from." But I went down, and just showed some basic rappelling techniques, how to hook up the line and stuff like that. And we need to teach you how to do shit like that this summer.
I hate heights, man. I really do.
Oh yeah, I know. But that's why you need to do it. You gotta be prepared.
What's your biggest fear, OFC?
Crocodiles.
Crocodiles. What about you,
Shooter? Specifically crocodiles.
Money.
Money.
So OFC can help me out with that. Give me a couple $1,000s, kind of get used to it. But honestly, it's snakes. I've hated snakes ever since I was a kid. My mom and dad did. Anything else. Some people have fear for spiders and stuff, but I don't really pay that much mind. But I can't stand a snake.
Here we like when I'm out mowing and stuff during the summer, we'll see black snakes all the time, and you can just pick them up and throw them back in the woods or something. But it's the other kind that you don't want to see. Black snakes actually keep the other ones away, so I don't mind them so much. But yeah, heights for me, 15 feet off the ground, I'm done. I'm ready to pass out.
See, if you see my earlier videos, when I first started the channel, most of them were down in Florida because I spend time here and there. And we've started to get crocodiles that are moving further and further north every year. Now people are like, "Oh, well, it's the same thing as an alligator." No, they are two distinct animals. One, if I walk towards a 8-foot alligator, it will try like hell to get the hell away from me and get back in the water. If I walk towards an 8-foot crocodile, it will chase me and try to eat me. Two different things.
Paul in chat said ex-wives is his biggest fear.
Oh man, I've got a few of those.
Yeah, you've had a few of them.
Yeah, well, my first one was an American, my second one was from France, and my third one was from Thailand. So.
Tall women scare me. Gene said tall women scare him. All right.
Oh, Hillary Clinton scares me a little.
I agree with that,
man. It's the pantsuits that I don't get.
I'm pretty sure she's hiding something around her front.
And the looks that Bill gives. Have you ever seen Bill when he's sitting there like watching these other women in the room? He's like,
oh yeah,
being all shady. He don't even hide it.
Dude has rape face. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hillary ought to get him some pit vipers. I'm just saying, so he can at least sit here like this,
Oh yeah.
He's bound to know people see it. He just. He's like, I'll just meet somebody else on an airplane and get back out of it.
Oh yeah. No shit.
Smitty Smith, thank you. He said, monkey, rattlesnake, and gator are all great. Well, stack it to the rafter, son.
I'll take your opinion on it.
Yeah, stack it to the rafters and leave the beans and rice for me.
Yeah, somebody actually tagged me on Facebook a while back before they deleted my account permanently. But there's a new account up. You can check out Robert Keenan now on there. But that's not really me, Facebook. But no, my original account, they gave me a lifetime ban. And
for what? Did they tell you why?
They didn't even. They were just like, it was like no strikes, no nothing. It's like, bam, you're gone. and they're like, your information will be deleted. But somebody tagged me in there because they know how I am, and they were like, dog people, I love dogs. Cat people, I love cats. Food is food, you know. And I was like, yeah, that's me.
Some 27-year-old in Silicon Valley probably got into an argument with his mom before he left the house. She wants him to start paying rent. He's all pissed. He goes in, and your Facebook's the first thing he saw. He's like,
oh
oh,
yeah.
man.
It was like, oh, this dude is too much, posting these stupid videos up here all the time. Putting all his common sense gives me a headache.
Somebody wants me to ask OFC if he's ever eaten armadillo.
I have not. Armadillo, I typically stay away from them because they carry leprosy.
I didn't know that.
Neither.
Yes. They carry leprosy, and vultures tend to carry plague.
We have went over into the gutter. People are over here now talking about eating monkey with rice, armadillo.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how we started out on ho-hos too.
I know ho-hos and cupcakes, and you know, and then we trained. I think it was because I was talking about the kid's mom missing eating mice when she was in her home country.
Hillary is a man. Well,
I wouldn't doubt that. I guess it's 2021. She can identify as whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I always heard when I was a kid, you can be anything you want to be, but I didn't know it was that literal.
Yeah, there you go. See, no one's half the battle. Go Joe.
Go Joe. Big Red's throwing out Slim Jims. What's wrong with Slim Jims, Big Red? I eat them things hand over fist.
Slim Jims are mystery meat.
Well, they are yeah. Yeah. Mechanically separated or something like that. The ho-hos ran out. Gene said.
Oh, hey, Twinkies are good too.
Twinkies.
Oh, they are. I mean, you gotta
do what?
You gotta have your zombie apocalypse food, right?
Yeah, man. That's the thing. You prep for zombies. You're prepped for anything, right?
Exactly. You know, because that involves the grid down. That involves marauders. It involves everything.
The virus.
Did you ever see that? You can go. I think who was it? FEMA actually put out a thing about prepping for zombies. They actually had a little guide. It was pretty cool a few years back.
Well, I thought they would be talking about literal zombies, but turns out they were talking about millennials. Hey, Kelly Collins, how you feeling?
I am a millennial, but at least I'm not quite that far.
But you identify as somebody much wiser, right?
Yeah, I try to anyway. I'm 28.
My wife's a millennial too.
Hopefully I don't act like it.
Yeah. My wife's a millennial too. We just found this out a few weeks back. We were at some sit-down restaurant eating, and my daughter brought this up because she's like, what is it called, Gen Z or whatever? And my wife's like, no, I'm Gen X. And she Googles her birthday, and she's like, no, I'm a millennial. What's that mean? I'm like, we're never speaking.
Exactly. You were like, exactly. Point.
She was a millennial by like just a few months.
Oh man, yeah, it's funny.
And then all of these blocks started to fall into place, you know. Like this makes sense now.
Yeah, now I understand. I don't know what my kids' generation is going to do. They're either going to heal the world or destroy it.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Dusty Data said bath salt zombies.
Yeah, I remember that.
And a guy in Florida ate that other guy's face. What?
It's usually Florida that you hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Florida,
if it's not California, it's Florida, right?
Oh, yeah. I've had a lot of good times in Florida, though. Oh.
Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up. Do you guys want to spend a couple of minutes and just pitch a channel one more time to these? We still have 400 and some people in here.
Okay.
So if you can let them know about your channels again, because I know OFC did it at the beginning of the show, but we probably have an all-new crowd in here now.
Yeah, well, some people say from the beginning to the end. Some people are just that dedicated and crazy.
Dedicated, yeah.
But yeah, you can come over and check out my channel. You never know what's going to be on there. It's typically going to be useful information. Now, I don't drop videos every day. I typically try to drop at least one a week. I'm going to be dropping one in the morning. I try to drop two if I can, one Wednesday and one on typically Saturday or Sunday. The reason I don't drop one every day is because most of the things I think need said, you guys are saying it already. And so why do I need to keep beating the damn horse? If I say something or make a video, it's because I feel people need to hear it.
Big Red, I think 6-shooters from Indiana. Is that right?
No, actually, I'm from Virginia.
Grim's
but you're in Indiana now. Is that right?
Could be. No, I'm in Virginia.
You're in Virginia now? Who am I thinking of besides Grim? But there's somebody else that's from Indiana. Not the Indiana Prepper. There's somebody else.
I'm not sure.
Oh, it's Papa Prepper. I'm sorry. Papa Prepper's up in Indiana. Okay, well, you're a lot closer than Indiana. Sorry about that. What's your channel about, 6-shooter, even though you were here last week, man?
Yeah, I was here last week and everything, and I had a blast. And OFC, I hadn't heard of you until tonight, so I subbed to you earlier, so I have to check you out. But kind of a little bit of everything, like he said. Mainly it's homestead and preparedness type stuff, but I've got some logging stuff on there too, where I work in the woods with, cutting trees and stuff, and, some general things. And I have some music on there where I play bluegrass music and things like that. So it's kind of a little bit of everything from time to time.
That's right. You played a little bit last week, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's when I subbed to his channel was last week.
Yeah. Well, OFC, man, you got to play something on the guitar real quick.
Oh, I can't play nothing. That's him.
He did that bar last week, man.
Yeah, no, last week he did it and I subbed. That was my job, was to sub. So, yeah.
From now on, every guest that comes on has to play something.
The song of my people is Automatic Machine Gun Fire. I'm just saying.
Well, hey, I did my part today. I rickrolled Prepper Nation. So yeah, that was funny. Yesterday, I put out some kind of ridiculous picture of Biden in a doctor's outfit and said, I can't believe Biden's about to roll this out. And I left a link and it went to Rick Astley, and people were not happy.
Yeah, you got me with that one too.
That's good stuff.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you to the guests. Again, their links are down below and they're all through the chat. Please go and check them out. And I have to get off here and film tomorrow morning's premiere. So isn't that exciting?
And I really appreciate everybody that subbed and followed me from last Saturday. I really appreciate that.
What are you up to now?
I still got to edit this video that I made about the bug out bag for kids. So I'll be up to.
6-shooter, what are you up to now? Do you know? I'm looking at OFC. He's sitting at 541 right now.
I think it's 521 is what it was earlier today.
That's pretty awesome, man. You guys are going to hit 1,000 before long. Remember us once you get there, man. Remember us.
Oh yeah.
Don't turn into these Hollywood types and, All right.
Hey, if you guys can get if you guys can get me to 1,000, if you subscribers, the new viewers can get me to 1,000, John will let me teach him how to rappel this summer. So
bad back wheeling, I might try it. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end it here. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and y'all have a blessed night.
You're welcome. Thank you. God bless. I'm out.